Chapter 301. What happened? Yun Luo hurriedly walked out and saw the entire courtyard filled with people from the palace. His elderly features sank as he asked, "What is your Imperial Majesty planning to do? Or could it be that he also plans to become enemies with the Yun family?" At this moment, Yun Luo no longer referred to itself as the General's Mansion. Instead, it referred to itself as the Yun family. From this, it could be seen that he no longer felt attached to the royal family. General Yun Luo, the eunuch, held the horsetail whisk in his hand and said with a smile, "This servant has come to congratulate General Yun Luo. In the future, not only will General Yun Luo regain control of the military, there will also be an empress in your household. Isn't this a cause for celebration?" A few days ago, the imperial palace had gone through a great change, and the eunuchs in the palace had also been replaced. Hence, the eunuch who had come this time had a face that Yun Luo was unfamiliar with, especially that smiling face. Yun Luo felt the urge to punch him fiercely. "What empress?" The old man snorted coldly. "My Yun family doesn't have any empress. Please leave." The eunuch replied in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. "General Yun Luo, our Imperial Majesty has taken a liking to your daughter and has specially ordered me to escort your daughter into the palace. From now on, General Yun Luo, you are a relative of the Imperial family." "Huh?" Yun Luo let out a hearty laugh. "Have all of you forgotten how my Yun family was so awe-inspiring when we punched the #1 expert of the Imperial family? How dare they come knocking on my door now? I thought that Gao Shaoqin was different from Gao Tu and his son. I didn't expect that the people of the Imperial family were all the same. Get the hell out of here right now. My Yun family's daughter will never marry a member of the Imperial family. Moreover, Gao Shaoqin already had many concubines in his harem. How could such a dirty man be worthy of his precious granddaughter?" The eunuch's eyes darkened and he spoke in a strange tone. "Yun Luo, don't be so shameless. It's your granddaughter's fortune that the Imperial family has taken a liking to her. Do you think that the current Long Yuan nation is still under the control of Gao Tu? Now, I'll let you know that the Yun family is nothing." As soon as he finished speaking, a few figures rushed out from behind him and quickly stood in front of the eunuch. At the same time, the eunuch tossed the horsetail whisk in his hand onto the ground. His body emitted a monstrous aura. "You're not from the palace." Yun Luo was greatly astonished, and his footsteps could not help but retreat a few steps. Other than the guards, the others were all advanced spiritualists. In particular, the eunuch and the gray-robed elder were advanced high spiritualists. The Long Yuan nation definitely did not have that many strong martial artists. The eunuch no longer spoke in his treacherous voice and returned to his original tone. His elderly features were filled with a sarcastic smile as he said, "That's right, I'm not a eunuch from the palace. I've only been paid to do my job. Yun Luo, are you going to hand over your granddaughter obediently and continue to be a general, or do you want me to behead you right here and now?" In order to prevent the Yun family from realizing that it was Ling men who were behind this, he deliberately added the line that he had taken their money. Just as the fake eunuch finished speaking, a demonic voice suddenly rang out from the courtyard of the Yun family. "Are you certain you want to behead my old man?" The young girl's voice pierced through the courtyard and fell into the ears of the people in front of her. The fake eunuch frowned slightly. His sharp gaze was like a sharp sword as he shot it towards the beautiful young girl who was walking out to greet him. "Tomorrow, second uncle will appear. Ha! Second uncle will be able to see the light of day again. Then, it will be time to bully Jing Lin and the delusional Gao Shaoqin. Tomorrow, the female lead will also make a move and expose her true strength. Also, let me tell you a piece of unfortunate news. Tomorrow, this novel will be published. It's a single subscription, not a monthly subscription. Hence, apart from getting a discount, the monthly membership has no other benefits. The fee is 5 coins per chapter. Of course, some people with high VIP status will get a discount. Also, I never said that this novel will always be free. I've already written more than 300,000 words for free. That's why I've been notified that it will be published. The early stages of the novel will definitely be free, but the later stages will have to be paid for. I hope you can understand." Chapter 302. The moment he saw the young girl step forward, a breathtaking light flashed across the fake eunuch's eyes. Even though he had lived for a long time, he had never seen such a stunning woman. It would not be an exaggeration to say that she was the most beautiful woman in the world. It was no wonder that so many men had gone crazy for her. Whether it was Gao Xiaoqin or the man named Yun Xiao, whom his young miss had taken a fancy to, they were all infatuated with her. Yun Luofeng, are you coming with me yourself? Or do you want me to kidnap you? The fake eunuch returned to his senses and stared coldly at Yun Luofeng. A fierce look flashed across his eyes. Yun Luofeng raised his eyes and looked at the fake eunuch. You people don't have the ability to kidnap me. The fake eunuch scoffed. Little girl, don't be too arrogant. Since you said that we don't have the ability to kidnap you, I'll show you my power now. After saying this, he raised his hand. In an instant, multiple figures rushed towards Yun Luofeng at the same time. Only he and another advanced high spiritualist did not move and watched the scene unfold coldly from the sidelines. I'd like to see who dares to touch my granddaughter. The old man was enraged. A valiant force exploded from his old body as he took large strides forward and blocked Yun Luofeng's path. His fierce eyes stared coldly at the group of people who were rushing toward him. Bang! A violent wind was generated from his body as he leaped toward the group of powerhouses who were charging toward him. The wind from his palm, which had used all of the old man's strength, suddenly blocked the group of people a few meters away. The old man wiped the sweat from his forehead, but a sneer still hung on his aged face. How dare these small fries come to the Yun family and cause trouble? Today, as long as I'm still standing here, don't even think about taking my granddaughter away. Also, go back and tell Gao Xiaoqin that my granddaughter will never be the empress. The fake eunuch squinted his eyes as a dangerous, cold light flickered in them. I didn't want to do it myself, but it looks like I'll have to subdue you. Back then, the old man was only able to defeat Lin Feng because of the little hamster's help. This time, it would be useless even if the Yun family used the same trick again. After all, he was not the only advanced spiritualist that came to the Yun residence this time. The old man was well aware of this, but he was not willing to lose to anyone in terms of words, so he sneered. The imperial family's greatest expert, Lin Tian, was also killed by the Yun family. You're only an advanced high spiritualist. Do you think I'll be afraid of you? The fake eunuch did not want to argue with him. He sneered and said, I'm afraid you know better than anyone else how Lin Tian failed. Even if you defeated him, there are 2 advanced spiritualists here, so how can you stop us by yourself? The fake eunuch looked at Yun Luo with a mocking gaze. His expression clearly showed that he didn't think much of this old fellow. However, just as he finished speaking, a clear and cold voice suddenly rang out from the Yun family's backyard. That voice was extremely graceful and moving, causing Yun Luo's body to suddenly stiffen. My apologies, I'm not the only advanced spiritualist in the Yun family. In the inner courtyard, a man in a green robe appeared in everyone's line of sight. The man's footsteps seemed as if he was walking on clouds, and as he walked, white lotuses seemed to rise around him. Even watching him walk was a pleasing sight to the eyes. Chapter 303. Yun Luo was stunned. His eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at the handsome man who seemed to be walking on a lotus. He couldn't even move his gaze away from him. The man did not seem to notice the old man's gaze as he continued to walk towards the crowd. His handsome features lit up with a smile, and his eyes no longer held the dispirited and sorrowful look from before. Instead, it was replaced with a self-confidence that no one could ignore. That's right, it was confidence. In all these years, the old man had never seen such an expression on Yun Qingya's face. Ever since his legs were crippled and he started sitting in a wheelchair, he had lost interest in life. He had even done something like self-harm. Second uncle, you're here? Yun Luofeng turned to look at the man walking towards him and asked with a light smile. Yun Qingya curled up the corner of her lips slightly. I'm the leader of the Iron Man Corps after all. I was unable to participate in your matter last time, but this time, I want to fight together with the members of my army. Have you thought it through? Yun Luofeng looked at Yun Qingya seriously. The current you, Are you really going to appear in front of others? That's right. Yun Qingya nodded slightly, the smile on her lips becoming more and more moving. It's been more than 10 years. For the past 10 years, I've been living in a place where there's no daylight. Not only can I not take revenge, I can't even protect my closest family. That's why I plan to stand out now and let those people understand that I, Yun Qingya, am still alive. I will live to seek revenge on them. Looking at the man who was filled with confidence, Yun Luofeng thought of the first time he met him. At that time, the man was sitting on a wheelchair in a dispirited manner. His entire person seemed very depressed, and his eyebrows had lost their luster. Second uncle, Yun Luofeng clenched his fists tightly. No matter what you do, I will support you. I will avenge you. No matter what kind of powerful enemy the Yun family was going to face, she was fearless. Yun Qingya? When the fake eunuch heard the way these people addressed the man, he was stunned for a moment. Then, a cold smile appeared on his face. Back then, the #1 genius of the Yun family, Yun Qingya, had a dispute with the young city lord of the medical city. In the end, he was chased by the people of the medical city, causing his death. However, no one expected that Yun Qingya would still be alive. Yun Qingya was the #1 genius of Long Yuan country. However, those who transcended the mortal world did not know of her existence. The reason why he was famous in the mainland was because of the dispute between him and the hedonistic young governor of the medical city. It was precisely because of this dispute that his name shook the world. The man's eyes were cold and indifferent, unmoved by the other party's words. His handsome face was as elegant as ever. His handsome brows were slightly raised and filled with arrogance. Of course, I will take revenge. 10 years. Those people would never be able to imagine what kind of life he had lived in these 10 years. Hence, he would never let go of the person who had caused him to this state. He, the fake eunuch, sneered, "The power of the medical city is monstrous. If the people of the medical city find out that you're still alive, your Yin family will not have a good ending. What's there to talk about revenge?" In particular, the young city lord of the medical city hated Yun Qingya to the bone. If someone had not stood up to stop this matter back then, the entire Yin family would have been overturned by him. Furthermore, the fake eunuch paused for a moment, then said disdainfully, "I remember that your powers were crippled back then. Even if you're still alive, you're still a piece of trash. What kind of storm can a piece of trash like you stir up?" Chapter 304. Yun Luo was a little anxious. Just as he was about to stand up, a power that was not inferior to his own surged out from Yun Qingya's body in the next moment. In fact, the power that the man was releasing was even stronger than his own. "High spiritualist?" The old man was dumbfounded. The man who was standing in the breeze was dumbfounded. He was dumbfounded. "This is impossible." Before the old man could come back to his senses, the fake eunuch cried out in alarm. At this moment, the fake eunuch's eyes were wide open, and his face was extremely sinister. The people of the medical city are proficient in medical skills. If they cripple you, you will never be able to recover. How did you not only recover your previous strength, but also break through to a high-rank high spiritualist? This matter was simply too unbelievable. Not to mention the people from the spirit sect, even the old man was dumbfounded. Perhaps it was because of the intense shock the old man suddenly forgot about the current situation. He turned to Yun Luofeng and scolded, "You damned girl. Didn't you say that you could help your second uncle recover his strength? Why did he not only recover, but he even fucking surpassed me in rank? Tell me, did you give your second uncle something good to eat but didn't give it to me? This damned girl. Would she be unhappy if she didn't scare him for a day? Moreover, she actually didn't tell him about this in advance. She actually caused him to be so embarrassed in this kind of situation. Wasn't it a very embarrassing thing to not even know his own son's strength?" However, what the old man did not expect was that after his words fell, everyone from the spirit sect was shocked. They turned to look at Yun Luofeng in astonishment. "Was it you who cured Yun Qingya?" The fake eunuch narrowed his eyes slightly, and a dark light appeared in his eyes. Yun Luofeng curled his lips. "What does it have to do with you? These words completely infuriated the fake eunuch. His expression suddenly turned cold as he sneered. So what if Yun Qingyao broke through to a high-rank high spiritualist? You must die today. In the beginning, he still wanted to help Gao Shaoqian establish Yun Luofeng as his empress. But now, there was only one thought in his heart. This young girl was too dangerous. She was definitely not someone that someone like Gao Shaoqian could control. If he did not kill her, there would definitely be endless trouble in the future. Yun Qingya felt the killing intent coming from the fake eunuch's body. She silently blocked Yun Luofeng behind her. Her handsome face revealed a hint of indifference and confidence. You've worked too hard all these years. As your uncle, I was unable to protect you in my arms. Now, I finally have the strength to protect you. Just leave these people to me. Yun Luofeng gently nodded and slowly took 2 steps back. She also wanted to know second uncle's strength after he became an advanced high spiritualist. The fake eunuch's expression changed. He knew that the eldest miss had underestimated her opponent. They only knew that the Yun family had 11 high spiritualists. Among the 11 high spiritualists, the old man was the only one who was an intermediate high spiritualist. As a safety precaution, 2 advanced high spiritualists were specially sent over. However, what they didn't expect was that Yun Qingyao was still alive. Not only was he alive, but he had also become an advanced paramount spiritualist. Unfortunately, there was no turning back now. For the sake of the spiritual gate, he had to give it his all. Let's attack. The fake eunuch waved his hand. His body instantly turned into a strong gust of wind and rushed toward Yun Qingya. The man's green robes fluttered under the strong winds as the corners of his lips curled into a shallow angle. His clear and cold eyes stared at the old man who had leapt into the air. His handsome face did not change at all, and his expression remained as indifferent as ever. Chapter 305. Father, leave these 2 high-level high spiritualists to me. As for the others, you and the Steel Flame Legion will deal with them. The man's voice was as elegant as a song, like a gurgling spring flowing past. The moment it streaked across one's heart, it made one feel very comfortable. Arrogant. The fake eunuch quickly arrived in front of Yun Qingya and ruthlessly kicked the man's indifferent face. His eyes contained the fierceness of an eagle and leopard. Bang! The moment his foot kicked towards Yun Qingya unhurriedly raised her hand to block in front of her chest, blocking the kick that was like a hot knife through butter. 10 years ago, I relied on the strength of an advanced middle spiritualist to defeat the young city lord of the medical city, who was a low-level high spiritualist. 10 years later, I can also rely on the strength of an advanced high spiritualist to defeat 2 people of the same realm as me. 10 years ago, in that battle that shocked the continent, the young man from the general's mansion of the secular world used the strength of an advanced middle spiritualist to defeat a person of the high spiritualist realm. Although that battle was very difficult for him, in the end he won. But who knew that the famous hedonistic young city lord of the medical city would harbor a grudge and send experts from his family to hunt him down? But he was lucky enough to escape with his heavily injured body. It was also because of these 2 things that this young man from the general's mansion became famous throughout the continent. Perhaps you didn't know who the emperor of Long Yuan country was, and you might not know the name of General Yun, but you definitely didn't know the 3 words Yun Qingya. Even now, the people of the continent were still talking about the battle between Yun Qingya and the young city lord of the medical city, and it was unforgettable for a long time. The fake eunuch's expression became more and more unsightly. He withdrew his hand and looked at the other high-level high spiritualist expert. Then, the 2 of them attacked Yun Qingya at the same time. His clothes fluttered in the wind. The man took a step forward and stretched out his palm to meet the other party's fist. At the same time, his body leaned to the side, dodging the cold sword light behind him. Taking advantage of the fact that the old man had no time to defend himself, he launched a sneak attack with his right leg, kicking the old man back a few steps. The old man quickly stopped in his tracks and left a deep groove in the ground. His elderly features were extremely serious, and he could not help but break out in cold sweat. It seems like 10 years of not fighting has reduced my combat strength by a lot. Yun Qingya shook her head. If I still had the combat strength I had back then, that kick just now would have sent you flying 10 meters away. 10 years ago, when he fought against someone at the same cultivation level, his opponent would definitely not be able to fight back. Thus, no one at the same cultivation level as him dared to fight him, because no one at the same cultivation level would be able to withstand a single move from him. That year, the young governor of the medicine city had also heard of his existence when he had gone out to travel. That was why he'd come to challenge him, and it was for the sake of suppressing his might. And when he faced challenges, he would never refuse them. This was also the reason why he ended up like this. Zhao Lin. The fake eunuch's face darkened as he said coldly, "Today, even if we die here in battle, we must kill Yun Luofeng." The old man called Zhao Lin did not say anything. His old eyes coldly stared at Yun Luofeng, who was protected by Yun Qingya. Chapter 306. The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. "You hold Yun Qingya back, I'll kill Yun Luofeng." After a long while, Zhao Lin slowly opened his mouth. He stood up straight and said expressionlessly, "Compared to Yun Qingya, the person who is even more terrifying is her. A doctor who could even cure Yun Qingya. How powerful was her medical skills? Moreover, compared to spirit practitioners, doctors were even more terrifying. At the very least, spirit practitioners needed to increase their strength and gradually grow. In the space of spirit practitioners' growth, they had plenty of opportunities to kill them. Doctors were different. If she was lucky enough to meet a seriously ill expert and treat him, that expert would owe her a favor. This favor was enough to topple the entire spirit gate. Therefore, Yun Luofeng had to die. All right. The fake eunuch's voice sank. He no longer dared to underestimate Yun Qingya. He instantly took out a chain from his interspatial ring and swung it at Yun Qingya. "Those who block the path of my spirit gate die." Whoosh! The chain made a dull sound as it quickly wrapped around Yun Qingya's wrist. Soon after, he shouted at Zhao Lin, "Quick, go kill Yun Luofeng." Zhao Lin's eyes narrowed, and he quickly rushed towards Yun Luofeng. The long sword in his hand swept out a cold light, accompanied by a murderous aura from his body, and he swooped down towards the girl standing under the breeze. The young girl's body was still lazily leaning against the tree trunk. An evil smile hung on the corner of her lips. She did not even raise her head, as if she did not feel the appearance of the sword light. Qing Yan's eyes revealed a strong sense of ridicule. Did these people think they could hurt the young miss? Even if 100 high spiritualists came, they wouldn't be enough for the young miss to kill. Now that the young miss had not made a move, it was only to let the second master regain his sense of accomplishment. After all these years, the second master had been hiding in the shadows and did not stand out to protect the young miss. As a result, the second master had always felt guilty in his heart. That was why the young miss had treated these people with silence. "Pa!" A crisp sound rang out in the quiet front yard. After the fake eunuch came back to his senses, he saw Yun Qingya break the chains that bound him. A set of green clothes quickly swept past, blocking in front of Yun Luofeng. "You're courting death." The man who had always been cold and indifferent finally let out an angry roar. A bronze sword had appeared in his hand. With a poochie sound, it pierced into Zhao Lin's chest. Blood splattered and dyed the man's green robes red. He raised his head indifferently and stared coldly at the old man who was slowly falling to the ground. "With me here, who dares to harm Xiao Feng?" Ugh. In the past, he didn't have the strength to protect her, but now, he wouldn't allow anyone to bully her. The fake eunuch was stunned at the sight before him. A trace of fear appeared on his elderly face. Zhao Lin was dead. Zhao Lin, whose strength was on par with his, actually died so easily at Yun Qingya's hands. If he forcibly rushed forward, his ending would not be any better than Zhao Lin's. At the thought of this, the fake eunuch's heart trembled. A single word appeared in his mind. "Run!" When this word appeared, he no longer hesitated. He turned around and wanted to escape out of the courtyard. However, before he could step out of the door, his footsteps involuntarily froze. The young girl's body leaned lazily against the door railing. Her pitch-black eyes contained an evil glint as she looked at him with a smile. Chapter 307. Where are you going? Her voice was like a nightmare, lingering in Zhao Lin's heart, causing his heart to tremble a few times. Just a moment ago, this young girl was clearly standing behind Yun Xingya, but the moment he turned around, she had already appeared beside the door. Could it be she was a ghost? Otherwise, how could he have changed his position so silently? Yun Luofeng. The fake eunuch's eyes darkened as he forced himself to calm down. Who the hell are you? Yun Luofeng faintly raised the corner of his lips. His languid body slowly left the door railing and walked towards the fake eunuch, whose face was pale. Don't you all know who I am? But I don't know. What is your purpose in coming here? The fake eunuch coldly snorted. Of course it's to make you the empress. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng shook his head. It seems that you are not willing to tell the truth. Since that's the case, I have no interest in asking any further. Killing intent flashed in the fake eunuch's eyes. He instantly pulled out his sword and shouted gloomily, Yun Luofeng, go to hell. He was originally worried about how to kill this woman. He didn't expect her to deliver herself to his doorstep. Now that she was a distance away from Yun Xingya, no one could save her. As long as he could kill Yun Luofeng, even if he died here, it would be worth it. However, just as he was ferociously charging towards Yun Luofeng, he suddenly seemed to have tripped. His entire body staggered forward and fell head first to the ground. What was even more shocking was that the sword in his hand turned around as it fell. The sharp hilt of the sword was aimed at his chest, and with a poochie sound, it pierced into his body. The fake eunuch was also dead. He had died in his own hands. No one would have thought that a high-level expert would actually fall in a fight and die under his own sword. Was all of this really a coincidence? In fact, the moment the fake eunuch pulled out his sword, Yun Luofeng had secretly taken a few stones in his hand. One of the stones struck the false eunuch in the crook of his knee and caused him to tumble. The second stone hit his arm, causing him to be unable to hold the sword in his hand. As for the third one, it was clear that Yun Luofeng's action of turning the sword around and pointing it at the fake eunuch was also his doing. Therefore, everything was a trap, and the fake eunuch fell into her trap. This is the consequence of not looking where you're going. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a faint smile. Second uncle, let the army deal with these people. I don't want to see anyone go back alive. In addition, after we're done with these matters, we'll go to the palace to settle the score with Gao Xiaoqian. What did you say? Inside the inn, Xixian's palm landed heavily on the table. Her face immediately darkened. Zhao Lin and the others failed. After sending Zhao Lin and the others to the Yun family, Xixian sent another person to hide in the crowd to investigate the situation. Unexpectedly, not only did Zhao Lin and the others fail, even the Yun family's Yun Xingya was still alive. Yun family, Yun Luofeng, Yun Xingya. Xixian slowly calmed her restless heart, and a faint smile appeared on her lips. Originally, I was still struggling on how to deal with Yun Luofeng. Who would have thought that the Yun family would give me this opportunity so quickly? Chapter 308. Yun Luofeng. If you obediently became Gao Xiaoqian's empress, perhaps so many things wouldn't have happened, but you went and thought about someone you shouldn't have. So, don't blame me for being heartless. Go to the medical city immediately and tell the people of the city lord's mansion that Yun Xingya is still alive. After hearing this news, the people of the medical city will definitely not let the Yun family go. Xixian laughed coldly. As long as she spread this news to the medical city, it wouldn't be long before the Yun family was destroyed. At that time, without Yun Luofeng, she would be able to enter Yun Zhao's world and give this cold man the best care. Moreover, she believed that it would be easier for her to become a qualified wife than Yun Luofeng. At least, she wouldn't be willing to let that man become her guard, unlike Yun Luofeng, who actually dared to order him to do things for her. She didn't even look at her lowly status. What right did she have to order him around? Yes, Eldest Mississippi, the spirit gate protector, cupped his fists and silently retreated from the inn room. Suddenly, only Si Xian was left in the entire room. Yin Xiao, you are mine. Her eyes were infatuated as she murmured, I will not let any woman tarnish your purity. For a man like Yin Xiao, who was as cold and pure as a piece of white paper, how could he be tainted by a bit of black stain? Yun Luofeng was that stain. Letting her get close to Yin Xiao would only pollute him. Therefore, she would never allow this to happen. Of course, Yin Luofeng did not know what Si Xian was thinking. At this moment, she was standing in the study, being interrogated by the old man. Speak. Why didn't you tell me about your second uncles? The old man was a little annoyed. This girl actually hid this matter for so long and did not say it to make him happy. Yun Luofeng shrugged his shoulders. Because the process of treating second uncle was too harsh, I was afraid that he wouldn't be able to hold on. So I didn't tell you for now. The old man glared at her. Then what good things did you give your second uncle? Why was he able to break through to the high spirit realm? If you have such good things, why aren't you taking them out to show your filial piety to me? Facing the old man who was blowing his beard and glaring at him, Yin Luofeng said seriously, I have indeed given second uncle some good things. If you want them, I can give them to you as well. However, you will need to first cripple your strength. Then, after 10 years of accumulation, I will be able to give you the good things that second uncle has been enjoying. This way, when you recover your strength, you will be able to advance by leaps and bounds. At first, when he heard Yun Luofeng's words, the old man was filled with joy. He was just about to think of a way to snatch those good things, but who knew that the young girl's tone would suddenly change, and what she said made the old man roll his eyes a few times. I can't afford to enjoy such good things. What kind of joke was this? A good thing that could only be enjoyed after 10 years had to be abolished. What kind of good thing was that? It would have to be crazy to be a waste for 10 years just to break through. This is what you don't want. It's not that I'm hiding it from you. The corners of Yun Luofeng's lips curled up into a demonic smile, and his black eyes turned towards the silent Yun Qingya. Second uncle, now that our Yun family's power is gradually growing, you can also tell me your enemy. Yun Qingya sighed and said with a bitter smile, Back then, I fought with the young city lord of the medical city and defeated him. Because of this, he lost all face. That's why I attracted the crazy revenge of the medical city. Originally, the people of the medical city wanted to exterminate the entire Yun family, but the Doctors Association stood up for the medical city. Chapter 309. Physicians Association. Yun Luofeng's face darkened. What is this Doctors Association? Yun Qingya glanced at her and continued. The Doctors Association is an association established by many doctors on the continent. Whether it's the medical pavilion or the medical city, they all belong to this Doctors Association. Moreover, this Doctors Association is extremely powerful and has an important position in the entire continent. Why would the Doctors Association help our Yun family? Yun Luofeng stroked his chin, his voice filled with doubt. The Physicians Association isn't helping the Yun clan. Rather, the matter back then was too huge. If the Physicians Association didn't step forward to stop it, it would have brought shame to the entire association. The implication was that the Doctors Association had stepped forward to stop the medical city, not because of the Yun family, but because they did not want to bring shame to the association. After all, Yun Qingya had only defeated the young city lord of the medical city, but she had attracted such crazy revenge. It was one thing for him to take revenge on Yun Qingya, but he even wanted to destroy the entire Yun family. If this matter were to spread out, how would the world view the Doctors Association? But Yun Qingya's voice paused, and a trace of worry gradually appeared on his handsome face. Back then, the Doctors Association signed an agreement with the people of the medical city. If I am still alive, they will not stop the medical city from taking revenge on the Yun family. The fucking condition for stopping the Doctors Association is my death. Yun Luofeng's lips curled up, and his words were laced with coldness. In the eyes of the world, the Doctors Association is very fair, and they don't allow their subordinates to exterminate the human race. However, Those who are observing can see that the Doctors Association is obviously biased towards the medical city. Yun Xingya fell silent. She understood that what Yun Luofeng said made sense. The Doctors Association was indeed talking about the medical city. Second uncle, you didn't do anything wrong. Yun Luofeng raised his evil eyes. You were only sparring with someone. You didn't intentionally hurt anyone. Just because you defeated someone? So you're the one in the wrong? On the arena, there is victory and defeat to begin with. I've never heard of only defeat and not victory. The girl's voice was arrogant and domineering, and her pitch-black eyes were deep. Why should you be hunted down just because you defeated others? If the Doctors Association was truly fair, they wouldn't have allowed the people from the medical city to attack you. But those people used your death as a condition in exchange for the peace and harmony of the Yun family. Anyone can see the obvious favoritism. Yun Xingya clenched her fists tightly, her eyes filled with deep hatred. That's right, he had done nothing wrong back then. However, the people from the Doctors Association judged that he was at fault. Furthermore, the condition for them to organize the medical city to attack the Yun family was his death. Xiao Feng, there's something you don't know. The daughter of the city, Lord of the Medical City, is the disciple of an elder of the Doctor Association. Therefore, the Doctors Association is definitely biased towards the medical city. Hearing the man's words, Yun Luofeng finally understood. She slowly walked in front of Yun Xingya and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. Second uncle, don't worry. I will avenge you. Yun Xingya's gaze softened as she lovingly rubbed Yun Luofeng's head. Little Fenger, you've grown up. You're also the greatest hope of our Yun family. If brother and sister-in-law were to see you in heaven, they would definitely be gratified. Thinking of Yun Yang and his wife who had passed away, the atmosphere in the study grew quiet. After a while, Yun Luofeng looked up at the elegant man in front of her. Her gaze was firm and domineering. Chapter 310. Second uncle, it's getting late. I'm going back to my room to rest. Tomorrow, I still have to go to the palace to settle the score with Gao Xiaoqian. Also, whether it's the medical city or the Doctors Association, as long as they have offended the Yun family, no matter how far away they are, I will kill them. Those who offend the Yun family will be punished no matter how far away they are. Since she said it, she would definitely do it. I believe you. Yun Xingya smiled faintly. Her gaze was as gentle as moonlight as it shone on Yun Luofeng's body. Her expression was filled with trust in her. All right, go back and rest early. You must be tired after half a year. Looking at the man's concerned eyes, Yun Luofeng didn't say anything else. However, at this moment, her heart was even more determined than before. In the study, Yun Xingya stared at the young girl's departing figure. The gentle smile on her face slowly disappeared. Father, was it wrong for me to stand up so early? The Yun family had too many enemies, but he had stood out at this time. If he brought trouble to the Yun family, he would not be able to absolve himself of the blame, even if he died 10,000 times. Xingya, you don't have to think too much about it. You've been hiding for 10 years. Now that you've recovered your strength, it's time for you to stand out and face the world. Yun Luo sighed helplessly and said in a comforting tone. Yun Xingya laughed bitterly. I've endured it for 10 years, but why can't I endure it today? I really hope that Xiao Feng won't be in danger because of me. Yun Luo chuckled. This little girl's innate talent is very strong, and her potential is limitless. I believe that with her in the Yun family, they will definitely walk the path of supremacy. What we, the family, should do is to believe in her abilities and become her eternal shield. From his perspective, Yun Luofeng could not stay in a small place like the Long Yuan nation forever. She belonged to the vast and boundless continent. At that time, they only needed to be her shield and protect this home for her. Father, Yun Xingya smiled, little Fenger needs space to grow. As long as she is given space, no one in the continent will be her match in the future. So, if the Yun family is truly unable to resist the medicine city, hand me over. As long as Xiao Fenger is here, I believe that she will avenge me sooner or later. In this way, I can rest in peace in the netherworld. Imperial Palace. In the imperial study, Gao Xiaoqin was holding a cup of wine in his hand. He raised his head and downed the contents of the cup. His handsome face was flushed red, and his body began to sway unsteadily. Even so, he still drank one cup after another, completely unable to stop. Your Majesty, a lady dressed in a peach-colored palace dress slowly walked up to Gao Xiaoqin. Her slender jade-like arms gently supported the man's swaying body. She called out softly, "You are drunk. This concubine will help you back to the palace to rest." The girl's body carried an intoxicating fragrance. Gao Xiaoqin lifted his eyes slightly and looked at the girl who was supporting him. At this moment, his eyes were hazy from intoxication, and his vision was blurry. However, in this hazy state, he seemed to see a beautiful face that he had been worried about. Xiao Feng, did you come to find me? The woman's body stiffened. She had loved this man for so many years and had gone to great lengths to become one of his women. But the one he was longing for was another woman. Xiao Feng, if I am willing to disperse the harem for you, are you willing to marry me? Gao Xiaoqin tightly held onto the woman's arm, his eyes filled with gentleness. This gentleness was not what he pretended to be on the surface. It came from the bottom of his heart. Chapter 311. The woman stared blankly at the man who was grabbing her arm. Her heart gradually began to tear apart, and blood flowed nonstop. He wanted to dismiss the harem, disbanding the harem for a woman. If that was the case, then where did he put them? Your Majesty, you've drunk too much. This concubine should help you to rest. No. Gao Xiaoqin forcefully grabbed the woman and pulled her into his embrace. I'm not drunk. I'm very sober. Fenger, I thought that it was impossible for a person like me to have feelings for others. In the beginning, I wanted to understand everything about you because I wanted to use you. But I didn't expect that the more I understood you, the deeper I fell for you. I can promise you now, other than you, I won't touch any other woman. I just hope that you don't leave me. He had originally thought that from today onwards, Yun Luofeng could become his wife. However, he did not expect that the experts of the spirit sect would actually fail. Yun Qingyao was still alive. The man who had once swept through the entire Long Yuan country was actually still alive. Even his strength had broken through to the high spirit realm. Therefore, he had made his final decision. She had once said that if he became her man, he could only have her as a woman. Therefore, he was willing to dismiss the harem for her. In this way, she would be able to live by his side. Your Majesty, I'm not Yin Luofeng. Before the woman could finish her sentence, she was stopped by the man's lips. With a ripping sound, he raised his hand and tore the woman's dress into pieces, which floated in the study. Xiao Fenger, you really came. I knew that as long as I helped you disperse the harem, you would definitely come to my side. The woman's body froze. When she raised her eyes, she met a pair of gentle eyes. Those eyes were so gentle that it seemed as if they wanted to drown her alive. The woman in the palace dress closed her eyes and obediently fell into Gao Xiaoqin's embrace, allowing him to be extremely gentle on her body, leaving those marks one after another, as long as he could give her a gentle night. So what if he treated her as someone else, who told her to love him so deeply that she couldn't extricate herself? The next day, Gao Xiaoqin opened his eyes on the luxurious dragon bed. He rubbed his throbbing temples as a look of confusion appeared in his eyes. He remembered that he had been drinking alone in the imperial study yesterday. In the end, he had seen Yun Luofeng appear, and the two of them had been making love in the study. But why would he appear in the dragon bed? Right, Yun Luofeng. Gao Xiaoqin quickly returned to his senses and hurriedly looked at the woman next to him. When he saw that familiar face, he was completely stunned. Your Majesty. The woman rubbed her sleepy eyes and slowly sat up on the bed. What's wrong? Just as she finished speaking, a large hand suddenly grabbed her neck fiercely. She raised her head in shock, and a malevolent face instantly appeared in her eyes. Bitch, why is it you? The person he saw last night was Yun Luofeng. Why was it this woman? Your Majesty, ahem. The woman was choked so hard that she couldn't speak. She kept coughing and tears flowed from the corners of her eyes. She looked at Gao Xiaoqin sadly. Thump! Gao Xiaoqin flung the woman off him and roared angrily. Bitch, who allowed you to appear in the study last night? The woman's body hit the wall and slowly slid down. A trickle of bright red blood flowed from the corner of her lips, and her beautiful eyes filled with despair. Your Majesty, I'm worried about you. Chapter 312. Her voice was filled with resentment, hoping that Gao Xiaoqin would feel a little pity for her. Unfortunately, this man's heart was harder than a rock. His cold eyes were filled with murderous intent. Last night, we swore that from now on, I would never touch any woman again. Yet, you appeared in the royal study without permission and pretended to be Xiao Fenger to confuse us. Your Imperial Majesty. The woman raised her eyes and stared at Gao Xiaoqin in disbelief. Gao Xiaoqin had clearly mistaken her for someone else. Yet, she said that she had pretended to be Yun Luofeng to confuse him? Could it be that I have no place in his heart despite having accompanied him for so many years? The woman felt extremely sad at the thought of this. A bitter smile appeared on her face. All these years, has your Imperial Majesty ever loved me? You are not Yun Luofeng. We only love Yun Luofeng. Gao Xiaoqin's expression was cold and stern. He no longer had the gentleness that he had initially displayed. Since you have pretended to be her, you must accept your punishment. Your Imperial Majesty, don't be so stubborn. Yun Luofeng would never like you. The Yun family's power is overwhelming. No one can force her to do anything. The woman propped herself up. Her beautiful face was deathly pale, and her beautiful eyes were filled with tears. She looked very pitiful. Shut up! Gao Xiaoqin flew into a rage out of humiliation. He raised his hand and strangled the woman's neck again. This time, he used all of his strength. The woman who had been struggling in his grasp gradually stopped moving, and her body slowly cooled down. Slut, how dare you climb into my bed? You deserve to die. Gao Xiaoqin tossed the woman's body onto the ground. He then picked up the dragon robe that was hanging on the bed and put it on. The moment he put on the dragon robe, a familiar voice rang out from outside the palace, causing his body to suddenly stiffen. I wanted to settle the score with you today, but I never thought that I would see such a show. Under the morning light, the young woman walked gracefully over the high doorsill. Her smile was as alluring as ever. Her dark eyes were filled with mirth. Her snow-white dress fluttered gently in the wind. She was so beautiful that no one could look away. It wasn't as if Gao Xiaoqin had never seen Yun Luofeng before. He did not have a good impression of the cowardly Yun Luofeng from before. In fact, he had never even looked at her. When did he start paying attention to her? Perhaps it was the encounter at the medical pavilion, or perhaps it was the good show on the Qin River boat. But no matter when he noticed her, he was destined to fall into such a tragic end. Feng, Gao Xiaoqin's face lit up with a smile as he stared at the young girl who had appeared in the doorway. If I had never had a woman before, would you be willing to be my woman? There are no ifs in this world. Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows slightly. So, I cannot choose you. Gao Xiaoqin's heart violently trembled. That's right. There were no ifs in this world. However, if he was given a chance to start over, he would definitely remain chaste and wait for her to appear. Also, Yun Luofeng paused, then continued. Even if there was an if, I would not choose you. Why? Gao Xiaoqin asked in confusion. Back then, she had said that as her man, he could only have her as his woman. Since he was willing to do as she had said, why would she not choose him? A grim and handsome face appeared in front of Yun Luofeng, and the corners of his lips curled into an angle. Chapter 313. There is a man who is willing to humble himself and come to my side. He is willing to be ordered around by me. No matter what I do, he will help me without hesitation. Even if I commit a serious crime of murder, he is willing to become the enemy of the entire world just to stand by my side. Can you do that? Gao Xiaoqin laughed bitterly. He really liked Yun Luofeng, but he would never humble himself for her, much less become the enemy of the entire mainland. That was why he had lost to someone else. I understand. There was a flash of pain in Gao Xiaoqin's eyes. I am indeed not as good as the person you speak of. Because of my own selfish desires, I have brought you so much trouble. Don't worry, I will commit suicide in the palace. Take it as atonement." After saying this, Gao Xiaoqian seemed to have thought of something and continued, "I have one more thing to tell you. Yesterday, the reason why I went to the general's estate to cause trouble for you was because of Si Xian's orders." Si Xian? Yun Luofeng was stunned and asked, "Why did Si Xian want me to marry you?" Gao Xiaoqian's smile was a little helpless. Si Xian likes Yun Xiao. Initially, he had thought that Yun Xiao was just an ordinary guard. However, when Si Xian appeared, he realized that he was the most well-hidden person in the entire Yun family. If Yun Xiao was not special, why would Si Xian fall in love with him so deeply? She had even sent people to the general's residence after Yun Xiao had left. If one were to say that she was not afraid of Yun Xiao, he would never believe it. But at that time, he was already riding a tiger and could not back down. He could only listen to Si Xian's orders. "I understand." Yun Luofeng raised her head to look at the man standing in front of her. "In order to thank you for telling me this, I will leave you with the last shred of self-respect. Kill yourself." Gao Xiaoqian's thin lips moved slightly. "Thank you." After saying these two words, Gao Xiaoqian hung the sword on the wall. He pulled out the sword from the wall and gently slit his neck. Fresh blood immediately spurted out and stained the floor of the bedchamber red. Yun Luofeng watched the man's gradually collapsing body without a ripple of emotion in her eyes. Then, she slowly walked out of the bedchamber. Gao Xiaoqian reaped the consequences he had today. If he had not joined forces with the spirit order to harm the Yun family, she would not have been so ruthless. She would never allow anyone to harm the Yun family, even if it was just a thought. "Little Amo, do you think I'm being too cruel?" Yun Luofeng paused for a moment after stepping out of the palace gates, then sent a spiritual message. "Master, this world follows the law of the jungle. You don't need to feel any burden. Besides, if you aren't cruel, others will be cruel to you." Little Mo's voice was childish, but it made Yun Luofeng chuckle. "Xiao Mo, I did not have any relatives in my previous life. I only had a master. In this life, I have grandfather, second uncle, and Yun Xiao. I can tolerate anyone disrespecting me, but I cannot tolerate anyone threatening the Yun family. If our Yun family isn't strong enough, I will be forcefully brought into the palace. Grandfather and the others won't have a good ending either." Kindness? In her previous life, when she was young, she watched as her parents were robbed of their wealth and killed in a pool of blood. She did not know what kindness was. A kind person would always be bullied. This was an unchanging principle since ancient times. As long as she could help the Yun family get rid of any trouble, even if her hands were stained with blood, she would not regret it. Chapter 314. The streets of the imperial city were no longer as peaceful as they used to be. When the passers-by saw Yun Luofeng, they could not help but start discussing. "Have you heard about what happened recently? His Majesty the Emperor wanted to marry Yun Luofeng, but she rejected him. Not only that, Yun Qingyao from the Yun family is still alive and has become a high spiritualist. TSK. I have to say that Yun Luofeng really knows how to reincarnate. Otherwise, with her useless physique, wouldn't she be at the mercy of others?" That's right. Though Yun Luofeng is a doctor, she has no cultivation at all. With this kind of strength, she won't be able to do anything. If not for the general's support, let's see how arrogant she can be. These people did not deliberately avoid Yun Luofeng. Instead, they dragged out their words as if they were purposely talking to her. "Master, go and kill them. Go and kill these bastards." Xiao Mo was about to explode from anger. These people dared to say that his master was useless. If his master was useless, would there still be geniuses in this world? Furthermore, the reason why the Yun family was where it was today was because of his master. These people can only speak without thinking. Yun Luofeng stretched lazily. "It doesn't affect me. I don't need to waste my time on these people." Xiao Mo puffed up his cute little face in anger. He could not understand why his master, did not reveal his strength when the fake eunuch brought people to cause trouble. Why did he secretly kill the fake eunuch? If these people knew his master's strength, would they still dare to slander him? Miss! Just as Yun Luofeng was absent-mindedly walking down the street, a hurried voice suddenly rang out in front of him. The person was panting slightly. Miss, something bad has happened. The people from the medical city are here. What should we do? Medical city? Yun Luofeng's footsteps paused. Even though she knew that the people from the medical city would be here soon, she did not expect it to be so fast. It had only been one night, and these people had actually come to Long Yuan country. Let's go. Yun Luofeng lowered his eyes, and his lips curled into an evil smile. I would like to see the strong cultivators of the medical city. In the great hall of the Yun family, the old man's face was cold and expressionless. His sharp eyes swept over the old man standing in the great hall. The old man's expression was cold, and his face was old. Two middle-aged men followed behind him, and they were like Mount Tai guarding behind the old man. The old man didn't even look at the old man. Instead, his gaze fell on Yun Qingya, who was beside the old man. He sneered, Yun Qingya, I never thought that you, who were heavily injured back then, would still be alive. Even your dandelion had been repaired. Don't forget that the medical city had let the Yun family go on the condition that you die. Now that you're standing here in one piece, don't tell me that the Yun family doesn't intend to give me an explanation. His last sentence was naturally directed at the old man. As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful pressure spread out and filled the entire hall. The old man's face was a little pale. His hand that was holding the teacup trembled uncontrollably. His elderly face was solemn. Was this the pressure of an earth spirit? The difference between an earth spirit warrior and a high spirit warrior was not just a little bit. The old man took a deep breath and put down the teacup in his hand. He said, Your medical city once caused Qingya to suffer for 10 years. Isn't that enough? What did Qingya do wrong? Just because he won the challenge, he had to die in this world? Chapter 315. That's right. The old man's eyes were as cold as knives. His aura was imposing and domineering. Who told him to have the guts to defeat my young master? If he admitted defeat, this would not have happened. Who knows, our medical city might have befriended you because of your knowledge. There would definitely be countless benefits, but who knew that Yun Qingya was too stupid? She even dared to hit my young master. She's courting death. Boom! The old man punched the wall, and the sturdy wall of the Yun family instantly collapsed. Yun Luo's face darkened. It was someone from your medical city who challenged my son first. In the arena, there should be fairness. He lost to my son because his skills were inferior to others, and he asked for it. Don't tell me you want my son to stand still and let him hit him? The old man snorted. Yun Qingya should not have fought back. He should have stood still and let my young master beat him up. My young master could have saved him 10 years of pain by beating him up, but he had the guts to ask for trouble. Yun Luo was so angry that he almost went crazy. He had thought that he was shameless enough, but he did not expect this old man to be even more shameless than him. How could he say such words? The challenge was based on fairness. Why did the young master of the medical city issue a challenge? But his son had to stand still and let him beat him up? Was this still considered a challenge? Then what does your medical city want now? Yun Luo gritted his teeth, his old face ashen. The destruction of the Yun family, or the death of Yun Qingya. Bang! Yun Luo slammed the table and stood up, shouting angrily, Don't go too far in the medical city. 10 years ago, I did not protect Qingya well and let him suffer for 10 years. Now, I will not allow anyone to touch a single hair on my son's head. The old man sneered, feeling disdainful of Yun Luo's words. Yun Luo, the strongest person in your Yun family, is only a high-level high spirit. As an earth spirit, do you think that you can stop me with your strength? His eyes were filled with contempt, as if he did not place the Yun family in his eyes. Indeed, the Yun family was very powerful in the Long Yuan country. However, in the eyes of these powerful families, a small Yun family was nothing. Back then, I wanted to exterminate the entire Yun family, but the Doctors Association came out to stop me. allowing your Yun family to stay for another 10 years. But don't forget, because Yun Xingya died, our medical city let your Yun family go, and we even reached an agreement with the Doctors Association. If Yun Xingya was still alive, they would not have come out to stop us from destroying the Yun family. Yun Luo's heart gradually sank. 10 years ago, if the Doctors Association had not stood up for them, the Yun family would not have been able to escape this calamity. Yun Xingya, the old man, continued to sneer. Since you're still alive, you should find a dark place to hide for the rest of your life. I didn't expect you to actually dare to walk in broad daylight. You're clearly courting death. Today, if the Yun family is not destroyed, I will not leave Long Yuan Nation. The old man no longer held back his aura. It surged out like an earth-shattering storm, turning into an invisible storm that pressed down on the old man and Yun Xingya. Boom! Just as the aura surged towards the old man and Yun Qingfeng, a powerful aura came from outside the door, shattering his pressure. Then, a lazy voice slowly rang out, landing in the silent hall. I only left for a moment, and you came to bully my old man and second uncle? If my old man gets a heart attack because of you, even if you have 100 lives, it won't be enough to compensate. Chapter 316. The old man frowned slightly and turned to look at the young girl who was walking in. His face darkened. You're Yun Luofeng? Yun Luofeng's granddaughter? Yun Luofeng blinked lightly. It seems like I'm the only one named Yun Luofeng. The old man brushed his sleeves. You're so young, and yet you're already so naughty. You dare to blackmail an old man? When did I make Yun Luofeng so angry that he had a heart attack? Yun Luofeng curled his lips. My old man's heart isn't good, and he can't take fright. You're so fierce to him. If something happens to him, because of you, the medical city really can't afford to compensate. Yun Luofeng rolled his eyes. When did his heart become so fragile? However, in order to cooperate with his granddaughter, Yun Luofeng lifted his hand to his forehead and pretended to be weak. Sigh. I'm a person who can't take a fright. You scared me just now and made me sick. I'm now dizzy and my heart is twitching. Tell me, how does your medical city plan to compensate me? You. The old man's expression suddenly changed. Yun Luofeng, you're shameless. This old man had just been jumping around and had a big temper. Now he looked like he was on the verge of collapse? Who would believe that? Shameless? No one can be more shameless than you. Yun Luofeng curled his lips. After all, I didn't say that I would let my opponent stand still and let my family beat him up in the arena. The old man's fluctuating emotions slowly calmed down. He said expressionlessly, Yun Luofeng, no matter what you say, none of your Yun family members will escape today. Squeak, squeak. Milk tea crawled out from Yun Luofeng's sleeve. A pair of round eyes looked at the old man with disdain. That expression seemed to be mocking him. The old man was furious. This Yun family was extremely daring. Even a gold-seeking rat was so daring. Since that was the case, he would first crush this damned gold-seeking rat to death. You're courting death. The old man shouted loudly. He raised his hand to grab the little hamster that had burrowed into Yun Luofeng's palm. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Milk tea hid into Yun Luofeng's sleeve with a swoosh. Only her little head was exposed as she squeaked mockingly. Xiaofeng, be careful. Yun Xingya turned pale with fright. With a leap, she dove towards the old man who was attacking Yun Luofeng. Her handsome face was filled with anxiety. But just as the old man's hand was about to touch Yun Luofeng, Yun Luofeng's figure flashed and he disappeared. When the old man came back to his senses, a gust of cold wind hit him from behind, causing his back to stiffen. Boom! The girl kicked the old man's back, sending him flying several meters away. Even the wall was smashed by his body, and he fell into the crowd on the street. The entire Yun family fell silent because of the girl's actions. Even the middle-aged men that the old man had brought along were stunned. His master's strength had long broken through to the earth spirit realm. But this young girl only used one kick to send him flying, even though part of the reason was that the Lord had underestimated the enemy. If one wanted to kick him, One's own strength had to reach the level of an earth spirit. A teenage earth spiritualist, what kind of concept was that? No one would believe him if he told them. But now, this scene was playing out in front of them. The old man looked at Yun Luofeng in a daze. Girl, what realm has your strength broken through to? Yun Luofeng looked at the old man in the crowd. The same level as him. Chapter 317. Boom! As if a bolt of lightning had struck down, the old man was dumbfounded. Even his breathing became uneven. He hurriedly covered his heart and staggered backwards. Just as Yun Qingya came back to her senses, she saw the old man holding his heart and falling backwards. She hurriedly stepped forward to support the old man. Father, how are you? The old man leaned on Yun Qingya's body and rolled his eyes. He opened his mouth, but could not make a sound. Yun Qingya hurriedly stroked his chest and helped him breathe. She asked nervously, Father, are you feeling better? After a long time, the old man finally felt that he could breathe again. He fiercely sucked in a breath of cold air and glared at Yun Luofeng angrily. Damn girl, tell me, how many times have you scared me ever since I came back to Long Yuan country? Furthermore, you actually broke through to the earth spirit realm without a sound. That was an earth spirit realm. At such an old age, he had only reached the middle stage of the high spirit realm. This girl was only 15 years old, yet she had already become an earth spirit realm. How could he live like this? It was truly infuriating to compare oneself to others. Although this was what Yun Luo had said, he felt very proud in his heart. Which family's granddaughter was as talented as his? Not to mention Mu Wushuang. Even the young miss of the spirit sect might not be able to compare to her at this moment. Outside the Prime Minister's residence, there was a large crowd. Among these people, there were also the people who had mocked Yun Luofeng just now. Now, looking at the scene in front of them, everyone miraculously quietened down. It was so quiet that even the breathing of the people beside them could be heard clearly. A person who had broken through to the earth spirit realm at the age of 15 was actually called trash by them. If she was still trash, how could there be geniuses in this world? Thinking of this, those who had humiliated her all lowered their heads in shame. Some of them even wished they could find a hole to hide in. I originally thought that the young miss of the Yun family, Yun Luofeng, only knew medical skills and was still unable to cultivate. However, I had forgotten that her medical skills were so powerful that she could even cure the second master of the Yun family. Why couldn't she cure herself? It turns out that she had unknowingly grown to this point. If I had known Yun Luofeng's strength, I wouldn't have humiliated her at all. Right? Where is Jing Lin? He was the one who encouraged us to humiliate Miss Yun. Where did he go? Jing Lin? Yun Luofeng, who originally had no intention of discussing with the people outside, couldn't help but turn his head to look after hearing these two words. That day, when she had killed her way into the imperial palace, Jing Lin had already escaped as soon as he saw that the situation was not good. However, she had not expected that he would not leave Long Yuan country. Instead, he was hiding in the dark, trying to use other people's voices to disgust her. But what Jing Lin didn't expect was that not only would she not be moved by those insulting voices, she was also no longer the trash she used to be. Master, right at this time, Yiling carried an old man who was trembling all over and walked in from outside the door. She threw him on the ground in front of Yun Luofeng. This guy was sneaking around here, so I caught him and brought him in. Yun Luofeng lowered his eyes and looked at Jing Lin on the ground. The corners of his lips curled up. I don't have time to deal with him now. You keep an eye on him. After I've settled the matter in the medical city, I'll come and settle the score with him. The girl's voice was demonic and awe-inspiring, causing Jing Lin's body to stiffen. He lowered his head tightly, wishing he could bury it in the ground. Chapter 318. If he had known earlier, he would have decisively left Long Yuan country and fled far away. It would have been better than being caught by this woman. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. No matter how much Jing Lin regretted it, it was useless. Yun Luofeng no longer looked at him. Her eyes turned to the old man from the medical city, and her evil black eyes were filled with a smile. How did your medical city hurt my second uncle back then? One day, I will make you pay 10,000 times the price. The old man sneered and slowly got up from the ground. His mocking gaze fell on Yun Luofeng. Yun Luofeng, do you think I'm the only one from the medical city who came here? I have to say, your luck is really good. If the young miss of the spirit sect reported your matter to the medical city, maybe the medical city would only send an earth spirit warrior. However, who told you to be so lucky? This time, our medical city happened to be near Long Yuan country, so before he could finish his sentence, an even older voice slowly came from the void. Little girl from the Yun family, your talent is indeed not bad. It's much higher than your second uncle's. If the person we faced back then wasn't your second uncle, but you, maybe I would have to personally make a move to capture you. Walking in the air? Heavenly spirit realm? Yun Luofeng stared at the old man who had appeared in the air, and her eyes gradually darkened. She did not expect that there would be a heavenly spirit realm cultivator coming to the Yun family this time. This time, she had indeed been careless. In the beginning, the reason why she did not reveal her strength in front of others was because she had considered the existence of the medical city. For a power like the medical city, the experts were all very busy. Therefore, they would not send people who were too strong to the Yun family. They would only send people who were one level higher than the Yun family. This was also why second uncle was able to escape with his life back then. For a small Yun family, there was no need to send out an expert of the heavenly spirit realm. But if these people knew of Yun Luofeng's strength, it would be different. Thus, for the past 6 months, Yun Luofeng had been hiding herself. However, she never expected that the heavenly spirit realm of the medical city would be working near Long Yuan country. Her luck was truly too bad. Little Feng, Yun Qingya slowly walked forward and gently held Yun Luofeng's hand. There was a trace of a smile in her handsome eyes. You are the hope of the Yun family. No matter what, nothing can happen to you. The man's tone was resolute, as if he was facing death with equanimity. Second uncle, Yun Luofeng frowned. We are a family. I will not let you face these enemies alone. So, what if he was a heavenly spirit practitioner? Even if she had to die, she wouldn't let these people touch second uncle. Yun Qingya smiled and turned to look at the old man in the air. If I commit suicide here, can you let them go? A smile blossomed on the old man's wrinkled face, revealing a mouthful of black teeth. His wrinkled eyes narrowed into slits. If it was before, I would be willing. However, this little girl from the Yun family is far too dangerous. If I don't kill her, I'm afraid that the medical city will be destroyed because of her. Yun Qingya's heart sank. I was the one who defeated the young city lord of the medical city back then. It has nothing to do with them. The old man laughed twice. His old laughter was like dry bark, dry and unpleasant to hear. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame her for being surnamed Yun, who asked her to be your niece. Chapter 319. It is precisely because she is your niece. Therefore, all members of the Yun family must die. Yun Qingya's heart sank bit by bit as she clenched her fist tightly. Suddenly, a hand landed on his fist, gently wrapping around his trembling fist. Second uncle, I won't let you suffer like you did 10 years ago. The young girl's black eyes were clear and bright, firm and confident. Then, her eyes slanted towards the old man in the air. This time, I was indeed careless. However, if you want to kill me, you must be prepared to be bitten by me. Little girl, being too arrogant is not a good thing. The old man's voice was old and hoarse, as if someone had used their fingernails to lightly scratch across the table, and it was very uncomfortable to hear. Second uncle, go to Grandpa's side. Yun Luofeng's expression gradually became serious. Yi Ling, you and the other members of the army protect them with your lives. We can't let my grandfather and second uncle suffer any harm. Facing the heavenly spirit realm, she didn't dare to underestimate him. After all, if she was the slightest bit careless when fighting against an expert of this level, she would die here. Therefore, she had to face this battle with all her might. Master, don't worry. Even if I die, I won't let the general and second master suffer any harm. Yi Ling's expression froze as she solemnly guaranteed. Little Yun, the old man said with a low laugh, it's useless for you to do this. After I kill you, not a single member of the Yun family will be able to escape. Is that so? Yun Luofeng stepped forward. I'm afraid that when the time comes, it won't be as you wish. She only needed to stall for time. Before Yun Xiao left, she had told him that he would definitely return to the Yun family the next day. As for her, she only needed to persevere until Yun Xiao returned home. I've already said it before, being too arrogant is not a good thing. In the air, the old man snorted. His body was like a burst of white smoke as he quickly floated in front of Yun Luofeng. His speed was very fast. It was so fast that no one could see his movements clearly. His soft hand had already arrived in front of Yun Luofeng. Bang! Yun Luofeng's expression became serious as she faced the old man's attack. Suddenly, she felt a powerful spiritual power pass through her palm and into her internal organs. The tips of Yun Luofeng's feet clung tightly to the ground, as if she had taken root there. She swallowed the blood that almost gushed out of her mouth, and her lips curled into a faint smile. The power of a celestial spirit practitioner is only SOSO. The old man didn't expect Yun Luofeng's physique to be so strong. He couldn't help but be startled. Little girl, I've really underestimated you. A girl like you can't continue to grow. Otherwise, my medical city will be destroyed by your hands sooner or later. This time, the old man didn't use his soft palm to attack Yun Luofeng. Instead, he clenched his fist, and his aura surged out in all directions. Yun Luofeng's expression was solemn. His black eyes stared closely at the old man's movements. Then, the old man finally made his move again, facing the old man's stern fist. Yun Luofeng's body moved to the side, narrowly dodging it. At the same time, the old man's fist came again from the side of his waist, right in front of him. Bang! The fist landed on Yun Luofeng's waist. Her body was quickly sent flying several meters away. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth, and her beautiful face was as pale as a sheet. Xiaofeng, Yun Luo, and Yun Qingya turned pale with fright. Ignoring the army's obstruction, they quickly walked in front of Yun Luofeng. Chapter 320. Xiaofeng, how are you? Yun Qingya hurriedly helped Yun Luofeng up as her cold gaze swept towards the old man. The person you want to kill is me, and the person you want to deal with is also me. If you dare to touch my niece, I, Yun Qingya, will not let you off even if I become a ghost. The man stood upright in the breeze, his green robes fluttering in the wind. Between his brows, there was a look of determination as if he was facing death with equanimity. The old man stood in the air as the corners of his lips curled into a faint smile. Become a ghost? I'm afraid you won't even have the chance to become a ghost. Everyone in the Yun family must die, especially Yun Luofeng, this talented little girl. The people of the medical city really are a breeze. Suddenly, accompanied by a gentle breeze, an old voice floated in from the entrance of the Yun family home. It was indifferent and cold. The old man in the air frowned as he turned to look at the two people who had appeared at the door. It was an old man and a young man. The old man was dressed in a crescent moon-colored robe. There was a faint smile on his aged face. His gaze was indifferent and cold as he stared deeply at Yun Luofeng. Beside the old man, a beautiful girl of 17 or 18 years of age was supporting him. This young girl was extremely delicate, and her facial features were very beautiful. Her big, bright eyes darted around, and there was a dignified smile on her face the entire time. With a single glance, one could tell that this young girl was either rich or noble and was definitely not an ordinary person. Elder Ning Xian? When Yun Luo saw the two of them appear, his heart was suddenly filled with joy. Although he still did not know who Elder Ning was, since he had appeared here, it proved that he could handle this matter. Elder Ning did not say anything. His indifferent eyes stared at the old man in the air as he said indifferently, Lu Yin, Not only are you over 100 years old, you are also a heavenly spirit realm cultivator. Aren't you afraid of losing your reputation by bullying a junior like this? Lu Yin's eyes darkened slightly. Elder Ning, the matters of our medical city have nothing to do with your Ning family. Even if your Ning clan is powerful, you won't be able to resist a colossus like the Doctors Association. If you help the Yin clan, you'll be making an enemy out of our medical city. Making an enemy out of our medical city is also making an enemy out of the Doctors Association. In the face of Lu Yin's danger, Elder Ning smiled faintly. The Doctors Association will not interfere in this matter, and this old man just happens to owe the Yun family's last a favor. If you want to touch someone from the Yun family, this old man will not allow it. Lu Yin's face darkened. If Elder Ning was here, he really wouldn't be able to make a move against the Yun family today. Just as the two old men were exchanging blows, Elder Rong, who had already received the news, hurried over. He wiped the sweat off his face and quickly walked in front of the two men. Lu Yin, not only is the little girl from the Yun family someone that Elder Ning wants to protect, she has also done a great favor for the medical pavilion. Not only does he not agree to you harming the Yun family, I don't agree either. Lu Yin stared coldly at the sweating Elder Rong as a cold light flashed across his old eyes. Even the medical pavilion wants to meddle in other people's business. Hee, Elder Rong laughed dryly. The medical pavilion and the medical city are both members of the Doctors Association. All the organizations that are affiliated to the Doctors Association have signed a contract to never harm one another. Hence, if the medical city hurts me, you will be expelled from the Doctors Association. Lu Chen's heart gradually sank. He never thought that a tiny Yin family would attract Elder Ning and the medical pavilion. It seems that I have really underestimated this little girl, Yin Luofeng. Chapter 321. Could it be that you want me to just let it go? Lu Yin frowned and asked coldly. Elder Rong pondered for a moment. Why don't we make a 3-year agreement? The Doctors Association holds a meeting every 3 years. At that time, all the doctors will attend the meeting. Unfortunately, the little girl from the Yun family is also a doctor. At that time, all the grudges between you and the Yun family can be settled at this meeting. At this point, Elder Rong paused for a moment. If you insist on touching the Yun family now, then I can only fight you. And the rules of the Doctors Association cannot be changed. Even if the young miss of the medical city is the disciple of an elder of the Doctors Association, it will not change your fate of being expelled from the medical pavilion. Elder Lu Chun, the old man who had been sent flying by Yun Luofeng, hurriedly stood up and walked to Lu Chen's side, his expression full of anxiety. Let's go. In the end, Lu Chen still listened to Elder Rong's words. He lightly flung his sleeves, and before leaving, he turned to look at Yun Luofeng. Little girl, in 3 years, I will wait for you at the Doctors Association. I hope you can come see me alive. Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows. I'll give you this sentence. I hope you don't die too early. Hee. Lu Chen laughed hoarsely. I still have the same words. Don't be too arrogant. After saying that, he did not say anything else, and his old figure quickly disappeared in front of everyone. The rest of the people from the medical city also hurriedly left, quickly following Lu Chen's footsteps. Staring at the figures of these people leaving, Yun Luofeng's conviction to become stronger deepened once again. There was always someone stronger than her. Her strength was already considered the strongest in Long Yuan country, but the entire continent was so vast, and there were countless people stronger than her. Only by becoming strong enough could one not be bullied by others. Thank you for just now. Yun Luofeng withdrew his gaze from the departing crowd and looked towards Elder Ning and Elder Rong, sincerely thanking them. Elder Ning smiled faintly. I've been in the Long Yuan kingdom for the past few days, so the news that Yun Qingya is still alive has reached my ears. I was worried that the people from the medical city would come to cause trouble for the Yun family, so I rushed over. However, Elder Rong, you're so close to the Yun family, yet you're not as fast as me. Elder Rong smiled awkwardly. Looking at the old man's awkward expression, Elder Ning couldn't help but mock. Could it be that you want to pick up girls? That's why you're so slow? Suddenly, Elder Rong's entire face turned red. He coughed dryly and said, "This doesn't count as picking up a girl. It doesn't count. I'm just having a heart-to-heart with an old friend. It's just a heart-to-heart. You're covered in the smell of rouge." "Did you have a heart-to-heart talk on the bed?" Poochie. Yun Luofeng could not help but laugh out loud. Soon after, when she saw the two old men looking at her, she slightly withdrew the corners of her mouth. "I just didn't expect Elder Rong to be so vigorous despite his old age." "Continue talking, continue." Elder Rong's face darkened, and his expression became even more awkward. He wished he could find a hole to hide in. "Little Yun, don't you have other things to take care of?" Elder Rong looked at Jing Lin, who was lying on the ground, and said angrily, "Go and take care of him. Don't worry about us." Elder Ning, this old thing, actually said such words in front of little Yun. Where would he put his old face in the future? Especially since there were so many citizens of the Long Yuan nation here. He had lost all his face. Jing Lin, who was lying on the ground, froze when he heard Elder Rong turn the spearhead towards him. Chapter 322. General Yun, Miss Yun. Jing Lin's face was mournful. "I had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai, and offended you too. Oh no, and the second master of the Yun family. I deserve to die. Please let me go. I promise to disappear completely from now on, and will never appear in front of you again." "Regret now?" Yun Luofeng's lips curved into a faint smile. "Don't you think it's already too late?" She took a step forward and slowly walked in front of Jing Lin. Even though the young girl's face was still full of smiles, that smile made Jing Lin feel a chill in his heart, and his entire body could not help but tremble. "Miss Yun, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please spare my life. I won't dare to do it again." Jing Lin fiercely kowtowed, his face full of fear, and he no longer had the arrogant attitude he had at the beginning. 10 years ago, my grandfather also begged you like this." Yun Luofeng slightly raised her chin, looking down at Jing Lin, who was kneeling in front of her. "And you, do you still remember what you said?" Jing Lin's body trembled, his entire body trembling, his eyes filled with fear. He wanted to continue begging for mercy, but his throat seemed to be choked by a hand, and he could not make a sound. "That year, you faced grandfather who was kneeling on the ground and begging you to save second uncle, and said that even if grandfather kowtowed to death in front of you, you would not save him." Jing Lin clenched his fists tightly. The scene of that year was still vivid in his mind, but now the roles had been reversed. The person who was kowtowing and begging was him. This was really an eye for an eye. Jing Lin, Yun Luofeng glanced sideways at him. "Half a year ago, when grandfather returned from the border, you and the crown prince came to find him and forced him to break off the engagement, and even said that I would never be able to cultivate for the rest of my life. And I said at that time, with your strength, you cannot heal my body." Yun Luofeng squatted down, her fingers gently brushing across Jing Lin's neck, causing his body to shiver. "Miss Yun, I beg you." Jing Lin's eyes were pleading, his throat was a little dry, and he managed to choke out these few words with great difficulty. His throat tightened, and a jade-like hand tightly gripped his neck. Immediately, a feeling of suffocation spread throughout his entire heart. "Don't worry, I won't let you die. I will only send you to the backyard to accompany Gao Tu and his son." Jing Lin's eyes widened. Before he could utter a single word, Yun Luofeng's palm landed on his chest. In that instant, he heard the sound of his dantian shattering. "Gao Tu trusted you so much, yet you ran away as soon as you saw that the situation was not good. I believe he really wants to see you now. Qing Yin, throw him into the backyard to accompany Gao Tu and his son." "Yes, Mississippi." Qing Yin excitedly walked to Jing Lin's side and easily lifted his body. Then, she tiptoed and jumped into the backyard. The backyard, the most remote courtyard, was filled with weeds. At this moment, in a corner of the courtyard, Gao Ling's body was curled up into a ball. He stared blankly at the commotion outside. He wanted to escape, but the Yun family was watching him too closely. Every time before he could make a move, he would be discovered by the Yun family, and he would be beaten up. Just at this moment, the sound of two little girls talking came from outside the door. Xiaolu, our miss is really amazing. Just now, when a cultivator from the medicine city came knocking on our door, our miss actually sent him flying with one kick. She's so cool. I'm almost infatuated with our Mississippi. Chapter 323. Of course, Our Lady is a powerful cultivator at the Earth Spirit rank. Naturally, she's extremely powerful. I've decided that from now on, Our Lady will be my goddess. If anyone dares to say anything bad about Our Lady, I'll fight him to the death. Gao Ling didn't hear anything else. He only heard the words Earth Spirit and Jie. Yun Luofeng is an Earth Spirit? That's impossible. That's impossible. Her medical skills are already so powerful. It's impossible for her cultivation to be so powerful as well. Besides, everyone knows that Yun Luofeng is a good-for-nothing. All of you shut up. All of you shut up. Gao Tu roared angrily and charged into the courtyard. Unfortunately, before he could charge out, the guard at the door kicked him and sent him flying. He landed pathetically on the ground. Yun Luofeng can't be an Earth Spirit. She's a good-for-nothing, a good-for-nothing. Gao Ling's eyes gradually filled with madness as he screamed shrilly, "Get Yun Luofeng over here. She's a good-for-nothing." The two servant girls who had been in a heated discussion heard Gao Ling's words, and their eyes filled with anger. They charged into the courtyard aggressively. "How dare you insult Our Lady? Our Lady is a genius. It's just that she hides her abilities well. What right do you have to insult her? Compared to Our Lady, you're the real good-for-nothing." That's right. Our Lady has always been very talented. She must have hidden her abilities for so long because she wanted to break off the engagement with you. If you knew about Our Lady's talents, wouldn't you follow her around every day? It's a good thing that Our Lady has hidden herself so that a selfish and treacherous person like you would be exposed to the light. Gao Ling's body slowly fell to the ground as his eyes filled with despair. He knew that these servant girls were right. If he had known that Yun Luofeng had such talents, he would never have broken off the engagement with her. "Humph." The servant girl kicked Gao Ling fiercely. "Do you think that you're still the high and mighty crown prince? You're now just a plaything for Our Lady's hamster. Your status is even lower than ours." Gao Ling's body trembled as if he had heard the word hamster. The look in his eyes slowly turned from despair to fear. He had been tormented over the past few days. Whenever that hamster was bored, it would come over to play with him. But that kind of play could cost lives. Gao Tu had already been toyed with by him. Now that he was the only one left, how long could he be toyed with by the hamster? If Yun Luofeng didn't hide his strength, perhaps he would have married her long ago. Perhaps he could even use her strength to trip Ling Min. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. He could only live the rest of his life in regret. Just as Gao Ling was about to lose all hope, Qing Yin carried Jing Lin into the courtyard with her petite body and threw him to the ground. "You've both performed well just now." Qing Yin clapped her hands and turned to look at the two servant girls beside her. "I've heard everything that had been said. I'll mention the two of you to the young lady later. Even if you can't join the Steel Flame Corps, you'll still be promoted to be the Yun family's head servant girl." The two maids were overjoyed. "Thank you, Miss Qing Yin." Qing Yin smiled. She took one last look at Jing Lin, who had been thrown onto the ground by her. Then she turned around and walked out of the courtyard. Jing Lin. Gao Ling stared at the old man who had been tossed onto the ground by Qing Yin, and his expression changed drastically. "You damned old thing. How dare you abandon us and run away that day? So what if you've run away? In the end, you've still come here to accompany us. Ha ha." Chapter 324. Gao Ling had completely lost his mind. His maniacal voice echoed throughout the entire Yun family home. Then he pounced towards Jing Lin like a madman and bit down on Jing Lin's flesh. With a loud ripping sound, he tore off a large piece of flesh. His mouth was filled with blood, and his expression was hideous. Jing Lin did not even have time to cry for help before he fainted from the pain. Spiritual Gate. It arrived at the top of a tall mountain not far from Long Yuan country. The terrain of this mountain was treacherous and dangerous. Apart from the disciples of the spiritual gate, no one else would be able to cross it safely. However, at this moment, the man stopped in front of the spiritual gate. His mask reflected a cold light. His black eyes were cold, and his red lips were pursed into a straight line under the mask. Suddenly, the sound of hurried footsteps could be heard. The spiritual gate master, Si Qiong, had led a group of people out to welcome the man. Perhaps he had run too fast. His forehead was covered in sweat. At one glance, he saw the cold man standing at the door and hurried over. "Lord Ghost Emperor, why are you here?" The man's cold eyes landed on Si Qiong. His voice was low and hoarse, but it was terrifying. "Where is Si Qian?" Si Qiong was stunned, his eyes filled with astonishment. This man had always been arrogant. When he had first arrived at the spiritual gate, his daughter had purposely walked up to him twice, but he had ignored her. Who would have thought that he would personally mention his daughter's name? Could it be that Si Qiong's luck had really taken a turn for the better and he could curry favor with this man? "Lord Ghost Emperor, please follow me. My daughter has just returned to the spiritual gate last night. I will send someone to summon her." Si Qiong was overjoyed. If he could marry Si Qian to the Ghost Emperor, his status in the mainland would be even higher. The man walked into the spiritual gate silently. His black robes fluttered in the breeze, giving off a cold aura. The atmosphere in the study room of the spiritual gate was tense. Si Qiong glanced at the cold man sitting on the chair from time to time, his forehead breaking out in a cold sweat. Ever since the Ghost Emperor had followed him into the spiritual gate, he had not spoken a single word. No matter how much Si Qiong tried to flatter him, the Ghost Emperor did not even look at him. If the Ghost Emperor had really taken a liking to Si Qian, shouldn't he have asked for more information about her, instead of being so silent? Just as he was hesitating, the door of the study was pushed open. Si Qian gently pursed her thin lips and walked into the study anxiously. "Father." Si Qian cautiously glanced at Yun Xiao as her heart grew more and more flustered. She didn't think that Yun Xiao had come here because he had taken a liking to her. This man must have come to vent his anger on Yun Luofeng. If she had known that he would come looking for her, she would not have returned to the spirit gate so quickly. However, didn't the people she had left behind in Long Yuan country say that they didn't see Yun Xiao returning to the Yun family? That Lian family didn't even return. So how would they know what he had done? Thinking of this, Si Qian gradually calmed down her flustered heart. She plucked up her courage and looked up at the cold man sitting in front of her. Abruptly, the man stood up from his chair and slowly walked down the stairs with grim steps. His hoarse voice was filled with a seductive power as it slowly rang in Si Qian's ears. "I heard that you admire me?" Si Qian stared at the cold man in front of her and bit her red lips. "That's right, Yun Xiao. I do like you." Only the heavens knew how much courage it took for her to say those words. After she had said them, she felt her body in a mess, and she almost collapsed to the ground. "So," Yun Xiao paused, "you were the one behind the Yun family's incident." Chapter 325. Si Qian's expression changed, and she stumbled back in shock. Her face turned pale, and her delicate body trembled as she broke out in a cold sweat. He knew. This man really did know. After he found out about this, he didn't even return to the Yun family and had come straight to the spirit sect to settle the score. Si Qiong had a bad feeling about this. What on earth happened? This girl. I've already warned her not to provoke the Ghost Emperor. I never thought that she would still end up provoking him in the end. Si Qian's lips trembled. "I didn't do it on purpose. I just wanted him too much." Gao Xiaochen was instigated by you, and those high spiritualists were also sent by you. Yun Xiao seemed to be mumbling to himself, but his cold eyes were fixed on Si Qian. "You've committed such a grave mistake. The spirit sect can no longer protect you." Si Qian took a few steps back, her body pressed tightly against the wall. "I didn't hurt Yun Luofeng. I just wanted her to marry Gao Xiaochen. Moreover, isn't she there perfectly fine?" Slap. A slap landed fiercely on her face. Si Qiong's face was ashen as he bellowed angrily. "Shut up. Who allowed you to speak to the Ghost Emperor like that? After lecturing Si Xian, Si Qiong quickly turned towards Yun Xiao. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said timidly, Lord Ghost Emperor, Si Xian has already acknowledged her mistake. Furthermore, she hasn't done anything irredeemable. Please, Lord Ghost Emperor. The man's cold eyes slowly swept towards Si Qiong. Just this one glance caused Si Qiong's breathing to stagnate. The fear of death lingered in his heart. He could guarantee that if he dared to speak up for Si Xian, the person who would die would not be Si Xian, but him. Si Qiong hardened his heart and said, Lord Ghost Emperor, Si Xian has offended you, so I'll hand her over to you to deal with. Even though Si Xian was his most beloved daughter, no matter how much he liked her, he was not willing to implicate the entire spirit sect for her. The Ghost Emperor was far too powerful, so powerful that he could not resist. Hence, for the sake of the spirit sect, he could only give her up. Father! Si Xian cried out in disbelief. Her beautiful eyes were filled with deep despair. You're giving up on me? Si Qiong glanced at Si Xian coldly. You made a mistake, so bear it yourself. I won't let you drag the spirit sect down. What he meant was that no matter how Yun Xiao wanted to deal with her, he would not care. Si Xian's body collapsed on the ground. Her beautiful face was deathly pale. She had never imagined that she would lose her life here because of her jealousy. However, Si Xian's desire to live still made her stand up from the ground. She scrambled over to Yun Xiao and kowtowed fiercely. Please let me go. As long as you let me go, I promise I won't dare to have any thoughts about you. I'm more willing to use my body to serve Miss Yun. Yun Xiao coldly glanced at her. Your strength is too weak. The meaning of his words was very clear. Your strength is too weak, and you don't have the qualifications to serve her. No. Si Xian felt the murderous intent from the man's body and screamed. She then raised her hand to grab Yun Xiao's leg. With a bang, the aura from Yun Xiao's body surged out, causing her trousers to fly open. As this aura was far too powerful, even Si Xian's arms were shaken to the point where countless wounds split open. Fresh blood flowed out, dyeing her entire arm red. Chapter 3:26. My entire body belongs to her. Aside from her, no one else has the right to touch me. Even if she had only touched his trousers, Si Xian's body stiffened as the pain in her heart overshadowed the pain in her arm. Her eyes stared heartbroken at the cold man in front of her. Her heart was slowly being consumed by jealousy. Yun Luofeng, why is that woman so lucky to be able to receive the wholehearted love of such a perfect cold man? Yet she was unable to get even a sliver of it. Qin Yuan. Yun Xiao retracted his grim gaze and bellowed coldly. Take Si Qiong away after you've dealt with her. He had only been gone for a day, but who would have thought that these people would be so restless? They had actually taken advantage of his absence to have delusional designs on her. He would never allow anyone to harm her. No! Si Xian shrieked in terror. Father, save me. I don't want to die. Please save me. Si Qiong's body trembled when he heard his daughter's pleas. In the end, he steeled his heart and turned away, no longer looking at her. Stop howling. It's useless even if you scream yourself hoarse. Qin Yuan sneered. However, Si Xian, I really can't help but admire your courage. You even dare to have designs on my mistress? Did your father not teach you not to provoke my master? Qin Yuan no longer looked at her after he had spoken. In his heart, Si Xian was already a dead person. Si Qiong, on the other hand, was so heartless that he would not even save his own daughter. This was truly an eye-opener for him. Eat this. Qin Yuan produced a black pill from his robes and handed it to Si Qiong. What is this? Si Qiong was shaken and his eyes filled with vigilance. Of course it's poison. Do you think that I would give you a tonic? Qin Yuan rolled his eyes and laughed disdainfully. Hurry up and take the poison so that we can be on our way. The word on their way could easily cause one's thoughts to go astray. Si Qiong was clearly the kind of person who would easily think in the wrong direction. Lord Ghost Emperor has only asked you to take me away, not to kill me. Besides, I've already handed Si Xian over. Why do you still want to kill me? Qin Yuan said coldly. Who said I'm going to kill you? It's just that a heartless person like you can't be trusted. Therefore, you have to take this poison. Only then can we control you and prevent you from biting us in the future. But Lord Ghost Emperor didn't tell you to do that. Si Qiong took a few steps back, clearly not wanting to take this black pill. If everything has to be said by the master, then what's the point of having subordinates like us? Hurry up and take the poison so that you can go with me. Otherwise, you and your daughter will go to hell together. Qin Yuan frowned impatiently as his expression turned cold. Si Qiong hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still decided to listen to Qin Yuan's orders. He extended his trembling hand and took the black pill. He closed his eyes and swallowed it. Qin Yuan sneered as he watched Si Qiong swallow the poison. Are you going to stay and dig a grave for your daughter? Or are you going to leave with me immediately? Si Qiong shook his head. Just throw her into the mass grave. Her mistake had nearly dragged the spirit sect down with her. She has no right to enter the ancestral shrine. Si Xian's body trembled violently. Her pale face was filled with fear. She could not believe that her father, who had once doted on her, could be so heartless. Not only did he leave her in the lurch, he did not even allow her to collect her corpse. Chapter 327. Father, even a vicious tiger will not eat its own cubs. You will receive retribution for your cruelty. Si Xian cried out in a shrill voice. Her beautiful hair was in a disheveled mess as she glared at Si Qiong like a madwoman. You unfilial daughter, you've offended the Ghost Emperor, yet you still dare to speak such treacherous words. Si Qiong slapped Si Xian's body and sent it flying out of the way. He then kicked her in the waist. Who gave you the right to offend the Ghost Emperor? If you had not offended the Ghost Emperor, I would not have been forced to be fed poison. You've harmed me, and yet you dare to teach me a lesson? Retribution? If there's retribution, it should be on a rebellious, unfilial daughter like you first. His foot landed on Si Xian's body again and again. Si Xian spat out a mouthful of blood from his kick, and her face was ashen. Her ribs were broken, and she was in so much pain that she could not speak. Qin Yuan crossed his arms and watched the show unfold before him. He seemed to be tired of watching and even pulled a stool over to sit down. His eyes were filled with exuberance. Sir Qin Yuan, this unfilial daughter is far too rebellious. I won't let you do it. I'll deal with her myself. Si Qiong instantly drew his long sword and stabbed Si Xian right in front of her heartbroken eyes. Blood spurted from his chest and dyed his face red. His expression was cold and solemn, and his face was devoid of emotion. It was as if he had not killed his daughter, but a stranger. Si Qiong, Qin Yuan slowly rose from his stool. You're a selfish person who doesn't even recognize your own family. It's no wonder that my master has refused to accept your spiritual door. It's a good thing that I had already taken precautions and fed you poison. Otherwise, knowing your character, you would bite back at your master sooner or later. Oh, that's right, my master is not your master. You're not even his dog. Si Qiong did not become angry in the face of Qin Yuan's mockery. Instead, a flattering smile appeared on her face as she said, Young Master Qin Yuan, you're right. I'm not even a dog. May I ask where Lord Ghost Emperor wants me to go? Qin Yuan sneered. Of course we're going to the Yun family. Your daughter has made such a big mistake. As a father, you must go and apologize to my mistress. If my mistress doesn't forgive you, you can go and accompany your daughter. Si Qiong shivered involuntarily and cursed Si Xian 1,000 times in her heart. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have suffered such a punishment. Young Master Qin Yuan, please lead the way. I'll apologize to her right now. As long as she's appeased, I'm willing to let her hit me as she pleases. A mocking smile appeared on Qin Yuan's face as he looked at Si Qiong, who was acting like a lackey. He turned around and walked out of the study. Hurry up and catch up. If you're late, Master will kill you before Mistress can forgive you. Upon hearing this, Si Qiong hurriedly followed behind Qin Yuan with large strides, General Yun's residence. In the backyard where clear spring water flowed, the girl sat by a tree and played chess by herself. After a long time, she sighed softly, and her pitch-black eyes revealed a faint emotion. "My lady, are you thinking about Yin Xiao?" Qing Yin covered her lips and giggled. Her large, bright eyes stared unblinkingly at Yun Luofeng as she asked. Yun Luofeng's hand, which was tightly gripping the flag, trembled. He smiled calmly and replied, "I'm worried that Yin Xiao has run into some sort of problem. He said that he would only be gone for a day, but he still hasn't returned. I can't help but worry about him." After all, Yun Xiao's cultivation method was rather unique. If he were to have a breakthrough in his heavenly spirit method in the middle of a battle, he would fall into a state of madness. This would be extremely disadvantageous to him. Chapter 328. This was also what she was worried about. "Oh, that's right." Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows slightly, and his gaze turned to Yi Ling. "The chef in your mansion last time was pretty good. I wanted to ask you for him, but I was too busy and forgot about it. Ever since I tasted that chef's cooking, even the food of the Yun family has changed. In a few days, send that chef to the Yun family." Yi Ling's eyes showed a hint of confusion. The chef of the third prince's residence was better than the Yun family's? Why didn't he know? The chef of the Yun family was even better than the chefs of the royal family. How could the people of the third prince's residence compare? "Miss," Qing Yin glanced at Yun Luofeng carefully. "The soup I served you that day was not made by the chef of the third prince's residence." Yun Luofeng raised an eyebrow slightly. "Then who made the soup?" "It was—" Qing Yin bit her lip and said, "It was Yun Xiao." "Yun Xiao?" Yun Luofeng was stunned, and a hint of surprise flashed through his eyes. He clearly did not think that Yun Xiao would have such excellent cooking skills. Just as she fell silent, a familiar scent came from behind her. It carried the unique scent of a man and spread through the air. "You knew?" The man's voice was low and hoarse as it slowly rang in her ears. Yun Luofeng turned to look at Yun Xiao, who had appeared in front of him. There was a smile in his dark eyes. "Yun Xiao, you're back?" "Yes." Yun Xiao looked at Yun Luofeng. "At that time, I saw that you were not used to the food of the flowing gold country. So, Yun Xiao," Yun Luofeng interrupted the man, "why didn't you tell me earlier that you knew how to cook?" Yun Xiao looked deeply at Yun Luofeng. "You don't like me doing these things. I was afraid that you would be angry if I did." "Why would I be angry?" Yun Luofeng frowned and asked in confusion. Yun Xiao was silent for a moment. "That day, when I poured water for you, you said that it was Qing Yan's job. I thought that you didn't like me doing these things. Yun Xiao, your cooking skills are not bad. Where did you learn them?" Yun Luofeng curled her lips. This time, she had really picked up a treasure. This man was not only good-looking, but also powerful and devoted to her. Now he had to add another condition. He had to be able to enter the main hall and the kitchen. It seemed like there was nothing he couldn't do. "All these years, I've been taking care of my own life. As for cooking, I learned it on my own in the forest of no return." Yun Zhao's gaze was serious and focused, his pair of black eyes filled with the young girl's peerless figure. "If you like, I can cook for you every day." Yun Luofeng's voice was very domineering. "From now on, you can only wash hands and cook soup for me alone. Where's General Yun? Don't give it to him," Yun Luofeng said without hesitation, not giving any leeway at all. If Grandpa Xing knew what she had said, he would definitely be infuriated. "All right." The corners of Yun Zhao's lips curled up slightly. "I'll only cook for you." His smile bloomed only for her alone. His cooking skills would only be displayed for her alone. "I already know about the recent happenings in Long Yuan country." Yun Zhao's lips curled into a faint smile for a split second before it disappeared, as if it had never appeared at all. "However, I've already settled it for you. Si Xian is dead, and I've brought her father to you." Chapter 329. Yun Luofeng was stunned. She did not expect that Yun Xiao had returned so late because she had gone to the spiritual gate because of her. This man would always do everything for her without her noticing. A warm feeling welled up in Yun Luofeng's heart at the thought of this. She slowly shifted her gaze away from Yun Xiao and looked at the middle-aged man who was striding in behind Qin Yuan. The middle-aged man saw the peerlessly beautiful young lady in front of Yun Xiao at first glance, and a deep sense of amazement flashed across his eyes. No wonder the Ghost Emperor was so angry because of this woman. No man would not be moved by such a beautiful young lady. Lord Ghost Emperor. Si Qiong quickly stepped forward and bowed deeply at Yun Xiao. Then, he turned to look at Yun Luofeng. Miss Yun, what happened previously was my daughter's fault. I've already punished her, so please forgive the spiritual gate. There was a flattering smile on his face, and he no longer had the awe-inspiring air of a dignified leader of the spiritual gate. Yun Luofeng gently raised his brows. Si Qian's position in the spiritual gate is rather high. Otherwise, she would not have been able to mobilize so many high spiritualists. Si Qiong looked a little awkward, but his voice was anxious as he was afraid that Yun Luofeng would misunderstand him. Miss Yun, Si Qian has gained the favor of the elders in the spiritual gate, which is why they listen to his orders. I can swear that I have nothing to do with this. Is that so? The young lady's eyes were filled with a smile. Her black eyes seemed to be able to see through everything as she stared straight at Si Qiong. Si Qiong felt a little guilty. He was very clear that his daughter had mobilized the spiritual gate's forces, but he did not know that this was related to the Ghost Emperor. Out of trust for his daughter, he had handed the power of the spiritual gate to her. Otherwise, based on Si Qian's abilities, she would not have had the right to mobilize the spiritual gate's powerhouses. Of course, he could not tell Yun Luofeng about this. Miss Yun, I swear to the heavens that I had no idea about this at all. Please believe me. Moreover, I, Si Qiong, am willing to do anything for you and be loyal to you for the rest of my life. Si Qiong's expression was no longer as flattering as before. Instead, it was exceptionally serious, causing people to involuntarily believe her words. However, Yun Luofeng didn't believe that Si Qiong didn't know anything about Si Qian. If he really didn't know anything, then he would be too useless as the spiritual sect's sect master. He can use it. Yun Xiao glanced at Si Qiong before her black eyes turned towards Yun Luofeng. She then said seriously, I asked Qin Yuan to feed him poison. With the control of this poison, he will not be able to betray you. Yun Luofeng nodded. The Yun family is lacking an errand boy. Since he's willing to work like an ox or horse, then he'll stay in the Yun family and do odd jobs. Thank you for your mercy, Miss Yun. As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. As long as he could survive, let alone doing odd jobs, even if he was asked to be a slave, he would be willing. The spirit sect is the backer of the Long Yuan nation. How do you want to deal with the royal family? Yun Luofeng lazily leaned against a tree branch and asked with a smile that was not a smile. Si Qiong respectfully replied, I'll leave it to Miss Yun to decide. Yun Luofeng gently stroked his chin. The seventh prince of the Long Yuan nation is not bad. Even though he's still young, his mind is mature enough. He's also the only one who has chosen to protect himself during this chaotic period of time. The seventh prince of the Long Yuan nation's mother had died young, and he did not have a deep relationship with Gao Tuesday. He was a dispensable existence. Chapter 330. However, he had an extremely powerful talent at a young age. However, due to his lowly background, Gao Tu had never looked him in the eye. Since Miss Yun has spoken, then the seventh prince will be the emperor of the Long Yuan kingdom. Si Qiong smiled flatteringly. Miss Yun, do you have any other instructions? Go with Qin Yin. She will tell you what to do, Yun Luofeng said after pondering for a long time. Yes. Si Qiong cupped his fists, his face full of respect. Looking at the figure leaving with Qin Yin, Yun Luofeng was silent. After a long time, she stared at the man in front of her and asked, the spirit sect is the power behind the Long Yuan kingdom, and the Bai family is the power behind the Lujin kingdom. I wonder if the Bai family and the spirit sect have the same strength? The Bai family and the spirit sect are different. Even 100 spirit sects can't compare with the Bai family. Why? Suddenly, a handsome and bewitching face appeared in Yun Luofeng's mind, and her heart gradually sank. The Bai family has Bai Su. Yun Xiao frowned, his cold eyes containing an unprecedented solemnity. Without Bai Su, the Bai family and the spirit sect won't have a big difference in strength. Bai Su. Yun Luofeng's eyes slightly narrowed. He seems to be related to my parents' death, but I don't know where he came from. Originally, she thought that the Bai family and the spirit sect wouldn't have a big difference in strength, but she didn't expect that she thought too simply. It was easy to deal with the spirit sect, but it wouldn't be so easy to deal with the Bai family. Next time, if you meet Bai Su again, and I'm not by your side, don't fight with him. The man's cold eyes revealed a touch of imperceptible concern, and his expressionless face also carried a slight trace of nervousness. That man was too dangerous. If Yun Luofeng fought with him alone, she would definitely be at a disadvantage. I understand. Yun Luofeng slowly raised her head and met the man's cold eyes. I won't fight with him alone. Yun Xiao gazed deeply at Yun Luofeng. I'll let Si Qiong come to your side because his strength is not bad. When I'm not here, he can temporarily protect you. When you don't need him, he can be at your disposal. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng raised her arms, took 2 steps forward, and tightly hugged the man's body. Thank you. The girl's soft murmur caused Yun Xiao's body to slightly stiffen. He raised his hand and tightly rubbed her body. As she lowered her eyes, the corners of her bewitching red lips curled into an extremely shallow arc. I told you. I will protect you. Since he had chosen to protect her, he would not let her get hurt. Whether it was the Bai family or others, cough, cough. Suddenly, a dry cough sounded from the side. Yun Luofeng hurriedly left Yun Zhao's arms and glanced at the old man who stepped into the courtyard. Grandpa, you seem to be in the mood for leisure. You actually came here to disturb your granddaughter's training of a man? She raised her eyebrows slightly and looked at the old man's awkward face with a faint smile. Sticky girl, I just returned to the Yun family and heard that you've hired a new handyman. The old man was not ashamed of his actions at all. He said in a bad mood, our Yun family already has enough people. Do you know how much money it costs to raise so many people? You really don't know the cost of firewood. Do you think I just picked up money from the ground? It seems that I earned all the money in the Yun family. Yun Luofeng shrugged and replied. Yun Luofeng glared at Yun Luofeng. What do you mean you earned it? What's yours is mine. All the money belongs to me. By the way, how much did you pay the handyman? Free. Yun Luofeng gently rubbed her nose. Oh, by the way, this handyman is the master of the spirit sect. Chapter 331. Initially, when he heard the word free, the old man heaved a sigh of relief. However, Yun Luofeng's next words caused him to freeze in place. What did you just say? The old man stared blankly at Yun Luofeng. At this moment, he suspected that there was something wrong with his ears. Did she just say that the errand boy was the sect master of the spirit sect? Wasn't that the spirit sect that he was familiar with? Yun Luofeng looked at the old man's astonished expression and shrugged his shoulders. It's exactly what you think. The young girl's disapproving voice struck the old man's heart like a heavy stick, knocking him into a daze. The old man hesitated for a moment before saying, the sect master of the spirit sect came to the Yun family to do odd jobs. It wouldn't be right not to pay him. How about this? I'm not a stingy person. I still have to pay him what he should be paid. Housekeeper, record down the accounts and give the new errand boy a copper a month. The old man's expression was deadly earnest, causing the housekeeper, who was quietly waiting at the side, to grumble. A copper? Was he trying to dismiss a beggar? To think that the great general would say something like this. I don't think that's necessary. Yun Luofeng raised the corners of his lips and looked at the old man's pained expression. He smiled evilly and said, even if you ask him to pay for it, he'd still be willing. If you give him a salary, he'll feel uneasy instead. The old man nodded in agreement. Since that's the case, I'll keep this copper. I can at least buy a spring onion. All right, you two have fun. I won't disturb you any longer. Housekeeper, hurry and support this general. My legs are a little weak. Yes, great general. The housekeeper stepped forward and supported the old man as they slowly walked out of the courtyard. At this moment, the old man was clearly still in a state of shock. Hence, his legs were a little weak, and if it wasn't for the housekeeper supporting him, he might have collapsed at any moment. Don't be fooled by his serious expression just now. He had long been frightened by unwavering words. No one would have thought that the dignified sect master of the spirit sect would actually come to the Yun family to do odd jobs. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng watched as Master Dongfang's figure disappeared before his dark eyes slowly swept towards Yun Xiao. You still haven't told me where you've been these past 2 days? Yun Xiao paused and said, I just received news that the Xiao family has arrived in Long Yuan Nation. So, I went to investigate this matter. Don't worry, I won't let these people disturb you. If the Xiao family disturbed her, he did not mind destroying the entire Xiao family. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng raised an eyebrow as a cold light flashed across his eyes. Since the Xiao family has found their way here, why don't we find a suitable time to meet them? I also want to know why they are looking for you. Yun Xiao gently pursed his thin lips, his dark eyes staring deeply at Yun Luofeng. If you want to see them, I'm willing to accompany you. If you don't like them, then I'll destroy them. Yun Luofeng shook his head. Yun Xiao, do you want to see your mother? Mother? These 2 words were already very foreign to Yun Xiao. However, his mother was also the only person in the Xiao family who cared about him. Unfortunately, his mother had no position in the Xiao family and was unable to protect him when he was young. She's not in the Xiao family. Yun Xiao's eyes were as cold as water. Ever since I was chased out of the Xiao family, she disappeared as well. No one knows where she went. Ever since he had left the forest of no return, it wasn't that he hadn't secretly gone back to look for her. However, the news he heard was that she had already disappeared a few years ago, and even the Xiao family did not know where she was. Chapter 332. Yun Luofeng was silent for a moment, his black eyes flashing with an unknown light. Your mother disappeared after you left the Xiao family. Only by going to the Xiao family can we find out where she is. Most importantly, I want those who have hurt you to pay a painful price. The young girl's determined voice warmed Yun Xiao's heart. The corners of his cold lips curled up into a shallow arc. All right. Yun Luofeng did not say anything more as her lowered eyes flashed with a murderous glint. Now, every time she thought of the torture that Yun Xiao had suffered, she could not help but want to tear the person who had hurt him into 10,000 pieces, especially the woman who had thrown him into the forest of no return. Yun Xiao, when will the people from the Xiao family arrive? Yun Luofeng laughed coldly. When they arrive, I will entertain them well. Probably in the next few days. Yun Xiao's eyes were deep and cold. Furthermore, the Xiao family's influence is vast, so they already know that I'm in the imperial city of Long Yuan country. They just don't know that I'm in the general's mansion. Yun Luofeng was stunned and asked, You left the Xiao family when you were 7. How did they know that you were here? When the man heard this, his cold aura suddenly erupted. His black robes fluttered in the wind, like a wild beast in the night, ready to tear his enemies to pieces at any time. The Xiao family can find me through my bloodline. For a large family like the Xiao family, the depth of one's bloodline was very important. Furthermore, they could determine the location of the person they were looking for. However, using their bloodline to find a person, they could only find the general direction and not the exact location. That was why the Xiao family had taken so long to find Long Yuan country. Yun Xiao, leave this matter to me. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a sinister smile. I will make them regret ever coming to Long Yuan country. All right. Yun Xiao did not have much feelings for the Xiao family. Since Yun Luofeng wanted to play with him, why not indulge him? Once she was done playing, he would come out and clean up the mess for her. Yun Luofeng raised his eyes slightly and looked at the cold man standing in front of him. Yun Xiao, do you hate the Xiao families? Hate? Yun Xiao frowned slightly as a cold glint flashed across her eyes. More than 10 years ago, he was chased out of the Xiao family and thrown into the forest of no return. He indeed hated those people, because at that time he still cared about the Shao clan. Because of this, he hated the Shao family for being heartless and hated that woman for taking away his mother's position. However, he no longer had any feelings for the Shao clan. He was glad that he had left the Shao family more than 10 years ago. Otherwise, he wouldn't have achieved what he had today. As for his mother, leaving the Shao family might be a relief for her. I don't. Yun Zhao's eyes were filled with seriousness. If I had not left the Shao family back then, I would not have the power I have now, nor would I have the power to protect you. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a small smile. He slowly stepped forward and hugged the man in front of him tightly. He lowered his eyes and said, I hate the Shao family. I hate everyone who has hurt you, so I won't let them get away with it. Chapter 333. Yun Zhao remained silent as his dark eyes stared at the young girl in his arms. He does not hate the Shao family, but that does not mean he will let the Shao family off. It was just that in his eyes, the Shao clan was just a dispensable existence. Master. Just then, Qin Yuan's voice rang out. He then leaped over the wall and knelt in front of Yun Zhao, reporting to Master, the Shao family has entered the imperial city. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng's expression sank. The smile on his lips was demonic and eerie as he replied in a cold voice, The Shao family? I never thought that they would arrive so soon. Yi Ling passed down the order. All the inns in the imperial city are not allowed to accept anyone from the Shao family. Anyone who disobeys will be expelled from Long Yuan country. Yes. Yi Ling joined her fists and replied respectfully. Yun Zhao looked at the arrogant and domineering young girl in front of him. The corners of his grim lips twitched. The Shao family is very powerful. I'll ask Qin Yuan to protect you. No need. Yun Luofeng curled the corners of his lips. I know what I'm doing. Up to you then. As long as she was happy, no matter what she did, he would support her unconditionally. Qin Yuan opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something. However, when he saw Yun Zhao's grim glare, he immediately shut his mouth. Qin Yan, let's go. Yun Luofeng stretched lazily and narrowed his eyes as a dangerous light flashed in them. I'm going to recuperate and build up my strength so that I can deal with the Shao family. The brilliant rays of the sun shone into every corner of the courtyard. After Yun Luofeng had spoken, he led Qin Yan towards the direction of the rear courtyard. Once the young girl's figure had completely disappeared, Qin Yuan turned to face Yun Zhao and asked hesitantly, Master, why didn't you tell Mistress that the Shao family has that thing in their hands? If the Shao family were to fly into a rage out of humiliation, Master's life would be in danger. Yun Zhao's gaze was fixed on the direction in which Yun Luofeng had left. His gently pursed lips formed a cold and hard angle. His handsome face was expressionless as if he had facial paralysis. The Shao family cannot threaten me. What he meant was that no matter what Yun Luofeng did, he would not stop him. He would only silently support her from behind. Is there any news of her? Yun Zhao asked coldly with her back, facing Qin Yuan. The she he spoke of was naturally his mother, who had also disappeared after he left. Upon hearing this, Qin Yuan carefully replied, Master, our men have searched many places, but we still haven't found Madame's whereabouts. Yes. Yun Zhao's voice was low and hoarse, revealing a hint of coldness, causing Qin Yuan's heart to involuntarily rise as cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Master, it's your subordinate's fault. Master, please punish me. He hurriedly knelt on the ground and asked in fear. You will stay by Feng'er's side from now on. Yun Zhao's grim eyes swept across Qin Yuan's body. If she suffers even the slightest injury, bring your head to me. He did not dare to imagine what would have been waiting for Yun Luofeng if the Ning family had not rushed over 2 days ago. And he would never allow such a thing to happen again. If something really happened to Yun Luofeng, he couldn't guarantee that he would do something crazy. Yes, master. Qin Yuan wiped the sweat off his forehead and said respectfully. On a bustling street, a young man and woman were leading a group of people into an inn. Not long after, the sounds of an argument could be heard from within the inn. Chapter 334. What right do you have to stop us from staying? Inside the inn, the young girl stood with her hands on her hips, glaring angrily at the inn owner in front of her. I'm sorry, dear customers, but our shop is full and we really can't accommodate the two of you. Why don't the two of you stay in the stable? The young girl was so angry that her face turned red. This damned inn owner. How dare he let someone as noble as her stay in the stable? Someone as noble as her had to stay in the most luxurious room. No other place was worthy of her status. Nonsense, I saw someone checking in just now. Why can't we stay? The innkeeper laughed twice and politely refused. That person just now happened to be in the last room. You two came late, so I can only let you make do with it. Why don't you find another inn? The young girl narrowed her eyes, a strong killing intent flashing in her eyes. She was about to make a move, but was stopped by the man beside her. Forget it. The man shook his head. Yao, let's look for another inn. This isn't the only inn in Long Yuan country. But Ling Yao was still unwilling to give up. She stomped her foot angrily. These secular people really don't know any better. For someone as noble as me to come here, they should immediately clear everyone out and let us choose the best room. I didn't think that he would chase us away. In her entire life, Ling Yao had never been so humiliated in the spirit realm as the little princess of the Ling family, who wouldn't give in to her. Who would have thought that in this secular world, these people would not give her face? How could she tolerate this? Forget it. Xiao Jing tugged on Ling Yao's sleeve and shook his head. Don't forget, we're here on a mission. It's better not to cause trouble. Besides, this is not the only inn here. We can find another inn to stay in. After saying this, Xiao Jing pulled the still angry Ling Yao out. However, what they did not expect was that all the inns in the imperial city were full. There was not a single one that could accommodate them. Ling Yao was completely enraged. She gritted her teeth. What kind of broken place is this? If not for the fact that the Xiao family is looking for that trash, I would definitely not come to such a broken place. Ling Yao, who was used to enjoying preferential treatment in the family, had never encountered such a thing. It was no wonder that she was so furious. Yao, Xiao Jing's calm face revealed a pensive look. This is too much of a coincidence. There isn't anything important happening in Long Yuan country, so why are all the inns full? I suspect that someone is behind all of this. Ling Yao snorted. Her pretty face was filled with disdain. Who would be so bold as to make an enemy out of Spirit Realm? That trash from your Xiao clan? How could that trash have such great strength? Furthermore, our trip to Long Yuan Nation has been kept a secret. That trash would never know about it. When talking about Yun Xiao, Ling Yao's face was full of disdain. Although 10 years ago, that trash already had a perfect face. But trash was trash. Normally, she wouldn't even spare a glance at a piece of trash who couldn't cultivate and had no strength. What she worshipped were men who were not only handsome, but also powerful. Only men like that could match up to her noble status. Chapter 335. Ling Yao, this time, apart from finding that good-for-nothing, we're also here to break off the engagement with him. Xiao Jing frowned slightly and ordered in a low voice. Hearing this, Ling Yao couldn't help but get angry. I really don't know what my grandfather was doing. He actually made me marry that good-for-nothing. Moreover, I didn't know about it all these years. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiao Yuqing had returned this time and wanted me to marry him, he wouldn't have told me about this. Families like the Ling and Xiao families were very particular about their agreements. If she wanted to marry Xiao Yuqing, she would have to break off the engagement. Hence, when she heard that the Xiao family was looking for that good-for-nothing, she volunteered to follow them. That good-for-nothing probably doesn't know about this either. Xiao Jing's brows furrowed even tighter. It doesn't matter if he agrees or not. You must break off the engagement. Back then, because Yun Zhao's parents were 1 in a million geniuses, the Ling family's master had suggested for the two of them to be engaged at a young age. However, this matter was only known to the elders of the two families. Who would have thought that Yun Xiao was actually a good-for-nothing? Hence, this matter had been delayed. If the Ling family hadn't planned on using Ling Yao to form a marriage alliance with Xiao Yuqing, they wouldn't have revealed this matter. It's best if he doesn't know about it, Ling Yao scoffed. If he knew that we were engaged at a young age, he would definitely pester me. Otherwise, which woman would want to marry a good-for-nothing like him? That's not necessarily true. He's had outstanding looks since he was young. With his looks, it shouldn't be a problem for him to become a live-in son-in-law. Xiao Jing recalled that face in his mind. The corners of his lips curled into a slight smile. His eyes were filled with disdain. Ling Yao curled her lips mockingly. A woman who can fancy that good-for-nothing probably isn't a good person. If she's not a good-for-nothing like him, then she's a lecher. How good can a lecher like him be? What she meant was that Yun Xiao couldn't possibly find a woman better than her. Unfortunately, that kind of good-for-nothing wasn't good enough for her. All right, let's not talk about that good-for-nothing for now. The most important thing now is to solve the problem of our accommodation. Only after we've settled down can we search for that good-for-nothing's whereabouts. Xiao Jing looked at Ling Yao and said slowly, "But the inns here are all full. Where are we going to find a place to stay?" Ling Yao pouted, her face full of unwillingness. Xiao Jing pondered for a moment, and a light flashed in his eyes. He quickly walked to the front of a house and knocked on the door 3 times. Creak! The door was pushed open, and a middle-aged man walked out angrily. He asked angrily, "Who are you? What are you here for?" "I want to buy your house." Xiao Jing smiled faintly. "Go away." The middle-aged man waved his hand impatiently. "I'm not selling this house. Don't come here and make trouble." 10 million. Xiao Jing's lips still had a calm and confident smile. Sure enough, hearing his words, the middle-aged man's eyes lit up and he swallowed hard. "Are you really willing to buy my house for 10 million taels of silver?" He obviously didn't believe that there would be anyone in this world who would be so stupid as to spend 10 million taels of silver to buy a house. Xiao Jing didn't say anything else. He pulled out a banknote from his sleeve and handed it to the middle-aged man. "Here's 10 million taels of silver. Everything in your house belongs to me. You can leave now." Chapter 336. The middle-aged man hurriedly snatched the banknote and examined its authenticity. After confirming that the banknote was real, he quickly stuffed it into his sleeves and hurriedly left without even packing his belongings. Xiao Jing glanced disdainfully at the middle-aged man's hurriedly leaving figure. He slowly retracted his gaze and looked at Ling Yao. "This way, we have a place to stay. Next, we need to find the whereabouts of that trash." Ling Yao frowned. "But we haven't seen that trash for more than a decade. Even if he appears in front of us, we might not be able to recognize him." "Don't worry." Xiao Jing smiled mysteriously. "I have something in my hand. As long as I have this thing, I will recognize him the moment he appears in front of me." Hearing this, Ling Yao sighed in relief. "That's good. For you, Qing, and my happiness. I must find that trash as soon as possible and break off the engagement with him. Only the number 1 genius of the Xiao family, Yu Qing, is worthy of me. Xiao Yuqing, the number 1 genius of the Xiao family. He was the dream of countless women in spirit realm. She was one of those people. If that trash knew his place, he would not pester her. Instead, he would agree to her breaking off the engagement." "Don't worry." Xiao Jing patted Ling Yao's shoulder comfortingly. "Even if he starts pestering you after seeing you, the Xiao family has a way to make him give up on you. The marriage between the Xiao and Ling families is inevitable. However, your marriage partner is not that trash." "I hope so." Whenever she thought of that trash, a hint of disgust flashed across Ling Yao's eyes. If it wasn't for breaking off the engagement, she would never want to see that trash in her life. "Let's go in and rest first." Xiao Jing narrowed his eyes. "As for that trash, I will find him soon." Inside the general's residence, in the back garden, a young girl sat under a peach blossom tree with her eyes closed. Faint spirit energy surrounded her body and was absorbed into her body through the opening and closing of her pores. Suddenly, the young girl heard the sound of footsteps approaching. She opened her eyes slightly, and her black pupils turned towards the little servant girl who was walking into the rear courtyard. "How is it?" Yun Luofeng raised his eyebrows and asked. "Miss," Qing Yin wrinkled her delicate brows, "I've already given the order. All the Yins don't dare to accept those two people. However, that man from the Shao clan took out a silver note and bought a courtyard." "I understand." Yun Luofeng's black eyes shone with a profound light, making it impossible to tell what she was thinking. A long while later, the corners of her lips curled into an arc. Her slightly narrowed eyes contained a dangerous glint. "It's also time for me to meet these two people from the Shao clan." Qing Yin blinked her eyes. "Miss, are you going to make a move on the Shao family? On what grounds?" "Reason?" Yun Luofeng laughed lightly. "Don't forget, I'm the #1 hedonistic son of Long Yuan country. Why would I need a reason to beat someone up? You just didn't like them." "Qing Yin, gather everyone in the army. We're going to do something big." Yun Luofeng, had never needed to find a reason. She just didn't like these people, who would be able to do anything to her. Qing Yan's eyes shone. Her miss was simply too domineering. It looked like she still had a lot to learn from her miss, especially her shameless spirit. Chapter 337. Inside the house. Ling Yao's brows were tightly furrowed as she looked at the entire house with disdain. "This house is too shabby. It cannot compare to my Ling family. Look, there are ants on the ground. It's disgusting." Ling Yao lifted her foot and crushed the ants. Then she took off her shoes and took out a handkerchief to wipe the soles of her feet, as though the ants she had crushed were disgusting things. "Yower, I observed for a long time when I was looking for an inn. This is the best house in the vicinity. Just make do with it. How can the things of the mortal world compare to spirit realm?" Xiao Jing shook his head helplessly. Ling Yao was the little princess of the Ling family. She had been pampered since she was young and had never suffered any grievances. She wore silk and satin and ate delicacies. With her delicate personality, she should not have come to this kind of place with him. Ling Yao opened her mouth to say something, but at this time, a wave of uniformed footsteps came from outside. Then a group of people flooded in and surrounded the entire yard. "Who are you?" Xiao Jing frowned and looked coldly at the crowd that had flooded into the yard. He asked gravely. Immediately, the crowd surrounding the yard spread to the sides and revealed a path in the middle. Then, a beautiful girl dressed in a long white dress slowly walked out from the crowd. The young girl was extremely beautiful. Her hair was like a waterfall, her skin was as white as jade, and the smile on her lips was demonic and lazy. Her pitch-black eyes were as bright as the stars in the night sky, and her delicate brows contained an insolent and domineering aura. Even Xiao Jing, who had seen countless beauties, couldn't help but be stunned. But his shock only lasted for a moment as he looked seriously at the girl. This woman was very dangerous, like a fox hiding in the darkness. She looked calm on the surface, but in reality, she would jump out and stab you when you were not paying attention. Even the experts of Spirit Realm did not give him such a feeling of danger. "Who allowed you to enter my territory? Also, what are you doing here?" Before Yun Luofeng could answer Xiao Jing, Ling Yao immediately jumped out and glared angrily at Yun Luofeng and the others. Facing the furious Ling Yao, Yun Luofeng's thin lips parted slightly. "We're here to beat you up." Ling Yao didn't think that Yun Luofeng would beat someone up without saying a word. Her pretty face immediately changed. She was just about to pull out the long sword at her waist when a hand reached out to stop her. "Miss," Xiao Jing frowned, "I don't know how I have offended you. Causing you to want to attack me? You didn't offend me. But you offended my man." Yun Luofeng did not say this last sentence. She crossed her arms in front of her chest, her posture lazy, and her pitch-black eyes filled with laughter. But under her smile, there was a hidden danger. Xiao Jing's heart sank. "Since I didn't offend you, you should at least give me a reason if you want to attack me." Yun Luofeng glanced at Xiao Jing. Her voice was as lazy as ever, but it easily provoked the anger of others. "Apologies, I don't need a reason to hit people." She paused, her laughter growing. "If I need a reason, then it is, I don't like you. Ling Yao almost went mad with anger. She had never seen a woman who treated rudeness so naturally. She immediately glared fiercely at Yun Luofeng. Damn girl, you want to teach me a lesson with trash like you? You. Chapter 338. Slap. A fierce slap landed on Ling Yao's face, causing her to be dumbfounded. She stopped speaking before she could finish her sentence. She stared in astonishment at the beautiful girl who had appeared in front of her. Her eyes were filled with shock, because in that moment, she did not even see Yun Luofeng's movements. His figure had suddenly disappeared. Like a light breeze, he quickly appeared in front of her. How fast did he have to be to reach such a level? Yaower, Xiao Jing's heart tightened, and he hurriedly walked to Ling Yao's side. He frowned and asked with concern, "How are you? Are you all right?" Xiao Jing's voice finally brought Ling Yao back to her senses. She realized that she had actually been beaten by someone, and her entire body emitted a blazing fury. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws as she charged at Yun Luofeng, her expression a crazed one. "Bitch, how dare you hit me? I'm going to kill you. No one has ever dared to hit me since I was young. If I don't kill you, my name isn't Ling Yao." Her eyes were red like a man-eating beast. Her sharp claws pointed towards Yun Luofeng's face, her eyes filled with madness. However, she had just rushed in front of Yun Luofeng when Yun Luofeng's hand grabbed her arm and ruthlessly threw her to the ground. With a bang, Ling Yao's head hit the ground with a dull thud. When had Ling Yao ever suffered such injustice? She was in so much pain that tears flowed from her eyes. Before she could stand up, Yun Luofeng's foot had already stepped on her chest. Ling Yao screamed in pain with this kick. Her red eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Bitch, if you dare to attack me, the Ling family will not forgive you." Yun Luofeng gently raised his eyebrows and exerted force with his right foot. Ling Yao immediately screamed in pain. She was in so much pain that she broke out in cold sweat. She could not even speak. "Stop." Xiao Jing finally walked out of his shock. With a calm expression, he said, "Miss, leave a way out. Don't go overboard. Spirit realm is not to be trifled with." Originally, Xiao Jing had thought that Yun Luofeng would be afraid when he mentioned spirit realm. Unfortunately, things didn't go as he wished. After hearing these two words, the girl didn't have any reaction, as if she didn't hear what he said. Xiao Jing's eyes darkened. "All of you attack." He waved his hand and coldly ordered, "Yes, young master." Hearing this, the members of the Xiao family behind Xiao Jing quickly rushed towards Yun Luofeng. Just as they were about to reach Yun Luofeng, the members of the army suddenly stepped forward, blocking in front of Yun Luofeng like gods of war. Boom! A powerful aura covered the sky and earth, engulfing the entire courtyard. After sensing the aura of these people, Xiao Jing's expression changed drastically, and his gaze became even more solemn. High spiritualist? There were 10 high spiritualists here. Since when did high spiritualists in Long Yuan country become so common? How can there be so many of them? Although the Xiao family had more high spiritualists, and they even had more than 10 celestial spiritualists, 10 high spiritualists was still a significant presence in Long Yuan country. After all, based on his understanding of Long Yuan country, there were only 2 high spiritualists in this country. As for him, his talent was not bad among the Xiao family's disciples. He had even reached the intermediate high spiritualist rank a few months ago. However, there were too many people in front of him. If he wanted to deal with them, it would be difficult for him. Xiao Jing's eyes flickered a few times, and he said in a low voice, "Miss, there are many celestial spiritualists in our Xiao family. The Ling family is not bad either. If you insist on doing this, you will definitely bring trouble to yourself." Chapter 339. Facing Xiao Jing's threat, Yun Luofeng responded with her actions. Slap! Her hand slapped Ling Yao's face again. In an instant, both sides of Ling Yao's face swelled up like a pig's head. She was in so much pain that she couldn't say a word. Her red eyes were filled with angry tears as she stared at Yun Luofeng. If looks could kill, Yun Luofeng would have been hacked into pieces by her. Even with Xiao Jing's calm temperament, he was enraged by Yun Luofeng. His face was terrifyingly cold. Since you insist on acting rashly, don't blame me for being impolite. Xiao Jing clenched his fists and charged towards Yun Luofeng. A murderous glint flashed in his eyes. Boom! Suddenly, the young girl in front of him raised her eyes and glanced at him with a demonic light in her eyes. In that instant, a powerful force surged into his mind, causing his mind to instantly go blank bang. Yun Luofeng lifted his leg and kicked Xiao Jing's chest. Xiao Jing's body flew out and hit the wall. His body seemed to have suffered heavy injuries. He kept spitting out blood, and he couldn't stop it no matter how hard he tried. Beat him up! Yun Luofeng glanced at Xiao Jing, who was lying on the ground, and smirked. Just don't kill him. These two people can't die so quickly. Yes, master. Hearing this, everyone in the army rubbed their palms and smiled evilly as they walked towards Xiao Jing, who was lying on the ground. Don't come over. Xiao Jing's face was full of fear, and his whole body was trembling. If it had been at the beginning, he would have been fearless against the army. After all, the strongest among them was only a low-level high spiritualist. However, Yun Luofeng's kick had caused him to suffer 10,000 points of damage. He couldn't even get up, let alone fight these people. The Xiao family saw that the situation was bad and wanted to save Xiao Jing. However, before they could reach Xiao Jing, they were stopped by the army. What followed was a one-sided trampling. Xiao Jing was too confident. He thought that there were no strong people in Long Yuan country, so he didn't bring any strong guards. The strongest people he brought were only low-level high spiritualists. This caused the Xiao family guards to be unable to fight back. Pucci! In the army, a person punched Xiao Jing in the face, causing his teeth to fall out. His right cheek swelled up like a steamed bun, and blood continued to flow from his mouth. Yun Luofeng no longer looked at the situation on Xiao Jing's side. Instead, he turned his gaze to the girl in front of him. He raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled devilishly. You can choose a masochistic method. Ling Yao's face was full of fear, and she shook her head firmly. No, I'm from the Ling family, I bang. The young girl's fist abruptly landed on Ling Yao's body, stopping her from saying anything. Ling Yao spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood at the corner of her mouth stained her clothes red. She glared angrily at Yun Luofeng. At this moment, her body was trembling uncontrollably. The rage in her heart had almost swallowed her whole. This slut, she would never let her off. Pucci! Yun Luofeng's fist landed once again. At that moment, Ling Yao's body shook violently. She gently closed her eyes, and her pretty face turned pale. With every punch, Yun Luofeng's anger subsided a little. Every time she thought of the torture that Yun Xiao had suffered all these years, her heart would fill with hatred. Chapter 340. The Xiao Family. Sooner or later, I will destroy the Xiao family and avenge Yun Xiao. But now is not the time. Yun Luofeng took a deep breath and suppressed the raging flames in her heart. Then, she turned to look at Ling Yao, who had been beaten to the point where she no longer looked like a human. Xiao Jing wasn't much better off. His clothes had been torn to shreds. His skin was bruised, and there wasn't a single part of him that wasn't injured. His body trembled uncontrollably, but he didn't even have the strength to resist. In order to avoid being beaten up again, he hid the hatred in his heart. His deep eyes were like a deep spring, unable to see the bottom. Take it. Yun Luofeng took out a black pill from somewhere and ordered coldly. Ling Yao's eyes showed a sense of terror. She shook her head firmly and sobbed. Yun Luofeng laughed evilly. Her fingers grabbed Yun Yao's chin and forced her mouth open. Then she forced the pill in. Qing Yin, make everyone in the Xiao family take this pill. Yun Luofeng took out another pill, and her lips curled into an evil smile. After you take this pill, your lives will be in my hands from now on. If anyone dares to breathe a word about what happened today, I will make you suffer the pain of being bitten by 10,000 bugs." Before she had come, Yun Luofeng had told Yun Xiao that she knew what she was doing. Based on her current level of power, it would be difficult for her to go up against a powerful force like the Xiao family. That was why she had prepared these pills. Her goal was to control these people. After all, she wasn't the kind of person who would place herself in danger just to vent her anger. She cherished her life. Only when there was no danger would she have no qualms. Xiao Jing lowered his eyes. He didn't resist like Ling Yao and swallowed the pill obediently. This was because he understood that he was now a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. If he resisted, what awaited him would be an even harsher punishment. Therefore, he might as well obediently swallow the pill to avoid the torture. When the rest of the Xiao family saw that Xiao Jing had swallowed the pill, they could only reluctantly swallow it. Their expressions were very ugly, and some of them were rolling on the ground in pain. "Who the hell are you?" Xiao Jing used all his strength to support his body. He crawled up from the ground and looked at Yun Luofeng with a grave expression. The corners of Yun Luofeng's lips curled up as he looked at Xiao Jing with his evil eyes. "The #1 hedonistic young master of Long Yuan Nation. That's me. Everyone knows that I don't need a reason to beat people up. As long as I don't like them, I'll beat them up." At this moment, Xiao Jing's face was already swollen like a pig's head, so his expression couldn't be seen clearly. However, from his eyes, it could be seen that he didn't believe Yun Luofeng's words. Yun Luofeng stretched his body and said lazily, "I hope that you guys can stay in Long Yuan Nation for a few more days. Because I've never beaten someone up as much as I did today." Ling Yao's body trembled violently. This time, she was smarter and bit her lip, not saying a word. "Let's go." After saying this, Yun Luofeng walked out of the courtyard. At that moment, everyone in the army also started walking and followed closely behind the young girl. "Xiao Jing, are we just going to swallow this? I can't accept this." Ling Yao opened her mouth with much difficulty, but as she spoke, she accidentally pulled the wound on her face. It was so painful that she drew in a breath of cold air. Chapter 341. Xiao Jing wasn't any better. His originally handsome face was now swollen like a pig's head. His clothes were ragged, and there wasn't a single part of his body that was unharmed. His eyes became darker and darker, so much so that Ling Yao's heart suddenly trembled. "Xiao Jing." Ling Yao swallowed her saliva and opened her mouth to say something, but she was interrupted by the man's cold gaze. "If you don't swallow this, what else do you want to do? Don't forget the pills we just swallowed. If we don't endure it, who knows what will happen?" Xiao Jing was a little annoyed. He still didn't know how he had offended that crazy woman to the point that she would act so ruthlessly against him. After saying this, he was silent for a while and said with a frown, "Let's go back to the Xiao clan first." Ling Yao was still very unwilling. Her eyes were spitting fire. "We came here to find that trash. If we go back now, what will happen to that trash? When your grandfather told you to come with me, he told you to listen to me. If you don't want to go back, that's fine. I'll go by myself. And you can stay here alone. Don't forget what that crazy woman just said. She wants us to stay here for a few more days so that she can beat us up for a few more days." Xiao Jing gnashed his teeth in hatred, but there was nothing he could do. Who told him to be no match for her? The most important thing right now was to hurry back to the Xiao family, in case that crazy woman came looking for him again. Ling Yao stomped her foot fiercely. No matter how unwilling she was in her heart, she still followed Xiao Jing and quickly left the house. In the general's residence, when Yun Luofeng heard that Xiao Jing and Xiao Luofeng had left overnight, an evil smile appeared on his face. His pitch-black eyes were filled with schemes. "Your Xiao family hurt Yun Xiao, and you want to leave just like that? If I don't find something for you to do, I'm afraid you'll continue to target the Xiao family. Miss, what wicked idea do you have now?" Qing Yin blinked her eyes and asked curiously. Yun Luofeng did not answer her question. He only curled the corners of his lips and said, "Qing Yin, I'm going out for a while. Help me prepare a set of clothes and a bamboo hat. Qing Yin was very curious in her heart, but she didn't ask much. She knew that no matter what Miss did, it would be the right thing to do. The night was like water, quiet and seductive. Xiao Jing and Ling Yao led a group of people from the Xiao family and walked quickly in the dark. It was as if this was a land of wolves and tigers, and they wanted to leave as soon as possible. Unfortunately, because everyone was heavily injured, their journey was very slow. They had to stop and walk. Thus, after a few hours, they were still walking in the ancient forest outside the imperial city. Ling Yao, hold on. When we leave this place, we'll find a medical center to recuperate. Xiao Jing looked at the panting Ling Yao and said with a frown, if old man Ling hadn't asked him to take care of Ling Yao, he might have left this burden behind. But I really can't walk anymore. Ling Yao leaned against a tree and laid down. Her expression was very ugly. The wounds on her body had not faded yet. Her body was covered in bruises, and the blood on her clothes had already dried up, appearing to be a patch of brown. Ling Yao! Xiao Jing's frown deepened. If you don't want to meet that crazy woman again, you'd better stand up quickly. Who knows where that lunatic will jump out from? It was obvious that Xiao Jing's heart was filled with fear towards Yun Luofeng. Chapter 342. All right. Ling Yao gritted her teeth and stood up from the ground. Now, every time she thought of Yun Luofeng, she would go mad with hatred. She wanted nothing more than to rush over and tear that woman into a million pieces. However, she also understood that based on her own power, she would not be able to take revenge. Furthermore, ever since she had taken that pill, she could no longer use her family's power. Let's go. Xiao Jing turned away and slowly walked towards the forest in front of him. However, Ling Yao appeared to be absent-minded. She bit her lips and looked slightly pale. Her eyes were fixed on the tip of her feet, and her gaze was unfocused. Thud! Suddenly, a figure appeared in front of her, and she was caught off guard. She crashed into it violently. At the same time, a powerful aura exploded from the other party's body and sent her flying. Tui! Ling Yao's body was already unable to bear the burden. Now that she had been hit by the other party, she spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, unable to get up. Ling Yao! Xiao Jing's expression changed greatly. He quickly rushed to Ling Yao's side and helped her up. His cold, gloomy eyes swept towards the uninvited guest who had appeared in the forest. A gentle breeze blew past, lifting the corners of her white robes. Her head was covered with a white bamboo hat, causing Xiao Jing to be unable to see whether the person in the white robes was a man or a woman. Who are you? Xiao Jing's eyes darkened as he asked coldly. Under the bamboo hat, the young girl's peerlessly beautiful face was curled into a small angle. Her pitch-black eyes were clear and bright. She had purposely lowered her voice, making her voice sound low and hoarse. It even carried a hint of mischievousness. She didn't look where she was walking and bumped into me, so I was only teaching her a lesson. Perhaps it was because she had purposely changed her voice, but her tone sounded exceptionally neutral. This allowed Xiao Jing to determine her gender. Ling Yao was indeed in the wrong. She shouldn't have looked where she was walking, but are you not at fault? You're so elusive that even we didn't notice when you had appeared. You're still blaming Ling Yao for bumping into you? The young girl's bamboo hat was slightly lifted in the gentle breeze, revealing only her thin lips. The smile on her thin lips carried a hint of mischievousness. Xiao Jing tried his best to open his eyes wide, but he still couldn't see the face under the bamboo hat. If I say that she bumped into me, then she bumped into me. The young girl's voice rang out again. I will punish anyone who bumps into me. Do you choose to gouge out your eyes or be ravaged by me? Yun Luofeng's last sentence was clearly directed at Ling Yao. She was like a hedonistic son of a rich family, and her words carried a roguish tone. Although you don't look good, your figure is not bad. I, your big brother, am interested in playing with you. TSK, I want to know what it feels like to strip you naked and whip your body. That's right. Little Mo, who was in the grimoire, could not help but roll his eyes when he heard his master's words. She didn't expect the owner to be so good at pretending to be a man. Even this kind of ruffian was vividly displayed, especially when she was teasing Ling Yao. If someone who didn't know better heard it, they would really think she was a hooligan. "Young master, don't go too far." Xiao Jing's expression darkened. He must have had 8 lifetimes worth of bad luck. First, he had run into a crazy woman. Now, he had run into a ruffian. If he had not been severely injured, he would have sent the man before him to meet the king of hell. Chapter 343. Overboard? Yun Luofeng's eyes flashed with an evil light as she raised her brows at Xiao Jing. The Bai family has never known the meaning of overboard. This woman bumped into me, and now she wants me to let her off. Dream on? In the beginning, Xiao Mo did not know what her master was trying to do. Now, she suddenly understood. A frame-up. This was a complete frame-up. Her master was afraid that the Xiao family would cause trouble for Yun Xiao again, so she had found something for them to do. The young master of the Xiao family and the eldest lady of the Ling family had been humiliated by the Bai family. How could they let the Bai family off so easily? That was why she had pretended to be a man of the Bai family in an attempt to incite a war between the two families. Who asked the Bai family to participate in the war in Flowing Gold Country. They had even helped the Empress kill her mother. You're from the Bai family? The Bai family of Flowing Gold Country? Xiao Jing's expression was ugly. He never thought that he would meet a member of the Bai family here. Yun Luofeng did not feel the slightest bit ashamed of her frame-up and replied matter-of-factly, "That's right. I'm from the Bai family. Bai Su is in charge of the Bai family. Why would we be afraid of you?" Even though Yun Luofeng did not know Bai Su's identity, she could tell from Yun Zhao's words that Bai Su was a special existence in the Bai family. That was why she had pushed the blame onto Bai Su. At this moment, a handsome and devilishly charming face appeared in her mind. His slightly narrowed eyes were filled with a dangerous light. "Bai Su, I'll settle the score with you sooner or later. I'll cause some trouble for the Bai family first." As for her, all she needed to do was stand by the side and watch the show. "All of you, stop him. Ling Yao, let's go." Xiao Jing ordered the Xiao family members in a low voice. He then grabbed Ling Yao and tried to leave. Trying to leave? Yun Luofeng smiled icily. She looked at the Xiao family guards who were charging towards them, and a cold light flashed across her pitch-black eyes. Then, a long sword appeared in her hand, splatter. The young girl's body quickly passed through the crowd of Xiao family members. In the instant she passed, the guards who were originally aggressive all spat out a pillar of blood, and their bodies stiffened as they fell to the ground. Seeing that the situation was not good, Xiao Jing wanted to speed up his escape, but at this moment, a figure wearing a white bamboo hat had already landed in front of them. Whoosh! The young girl raised her long sword, and with a flash of sword light, Ling Yao's clothes were all cut into pieces, floating in the air. Ah! Ling Yao screamed and hurriedly covered her body. Her eyes were filled with shame, anger, and fear. Although there are many injuries on this body, it doesn't diminish my interest. Instead, it increases my interest. Yun Luofeng put away his long sword and took out a whip from somewhere. He slowly approached Ling Yao. Ling Yao looked at the approaching figure, and she kept retreating, her body trembling uncontrollably. Don't come any closer. Xiao Jing, save me up. Pa! Yun Luofeng lashed out with his whip. In an instant, Ling Yao's flesh split open, and blood flowed out. Stop! Xiao Jing wanted to grab Yun Luofeng's whip, but before his hand could land, he was pushed away by a wave of spirit energy. His body fell backwards, and he fell into a pile of corpses. Xiao Jing clutched his chest and spat out blood. He regretted not looking at the almanac before leaving. Who knew that there were so many people in the world who did not care for their lives and dared to attack people of spirit realm? Your identities? Yun Luofeng's gaze landed on Ling Yao, and he asked coldly. Chapter 344. Ling Yao's body shook. Facing this terrifying person, she did not dare to hide anything. She bit her lips and said, I am from the Ling family of Spirit Realm. He is from the Shao family. Why did you come here? Yun Luofeng raised an eyebrow slightly. With her previous identity, it was not convenient for her to ask about these things. Now that she was pretending to be from the Bai family, it was time to find out why they came here. Ling Yao was naked and shivered uncontrollably in this slightly cold air. The Shao family came here to find the trash that was exiled from the family more than a decade ago. Trash? Yun Luofeng's gaze grew colder. She did not need to think to know that the trash Ling Yao spoke of was Yun Shao. It seemed that the Shao family did not know that the Ghost Emperor was Yun Shao. Otherwise, they would not have treated him with such an attitude. You are not from the Shao family. Yun Luofeng paused. Why did you come here? Hearing this, Ling Yao seemed to forget her fear. Disgust flashed through her eyes. That trash of the Shao family was betrothed to me, but the one I love is the #1 genius of the Shao family, Shao Yuqing. I came here to break off the engagement with that trash. I also want the betrothal token. Betrothal token? What is that? Yun Luofeng's brow furrowed. It is a jade pendant with the word Ling carved on it. Ling Yao did not understand why Yun Luofeng was asking this, but she still answered in a trembling voice. My grandfather gave that jade pendant to his mother. When he left the Shao family, his mother gave the token to him. My goal is to get that jade pendant back. That trash does not have the right to hold it. Whenever she thought that her family's jade pendant was in the hands of trash, her heart was filled with disgust. Pia! At this moment, the whip hit her body again, and she gasped in pain. I have told you everything you want to know. Why do you still not let me go? She shouted angrily. Her entire body trembled, and her eyes were filled with grievance and anger. Of course, Ling Yao did not know that her words had completely provoked Yun Luofeng. Her Yun Shao was so outstanding. How could she be humiliated by these people? Seeing their disgust, she could imagine the treatment Yun Shao had suffered in the Yun family in the past. You pervert! Another whip lashed down. Ling Yao couldn't care less about her shyness. She let go of her hand that was covering her private parts and raised her arm to block the incoming braid. Hiss! The whip landed on her arm, causing a burning pain. Ling Yao was in so much pain that tears flowed out of her eyes. Her teary eyes were filled with resentment. I swear, when I go back, I will tell my grandfather about this and ask him to destroy the Bai clan. Ling Yao used all her strength to shout this last sentence. The rage in her heart caused her expression to be filled with malevolence. Her gaze was like a dagger dipped in poison as she glared fiercely at Yun Luofeng. Yun Luofeng laughed. Her tone was filled with arrogance. Other people are afraid of Spirit Realm, but the Bai family is not. If you have the ability, then have the people of Spirit Realm attack the Bai family. This sentence revealed the truest thoughts in her heart. When two tigers fight, one will definitely be injured. She just needed to watch the show. Just you wait. Ling Yao trembled in anger. I definitely won't let your Bai family off. Chapter 345. Seeing the results she wanted, Yun Luofeng stopped torturing Ling Yao. She slowly put away the whip in her hand and said with a cold smile, All right, then I will wait for you at the Bai family. With that, she laughed maniacally, turned around, and left in the direction she came from. After she left, Xiao Jing finally dragged his heavily injured body to Ling Yao's side. He took off his clothes and put them on her. Ling Yao, the Bai family is too arrogant. We should teach them a lesson. Ling Yao's gaze was vicious as she stared in the direction that Yun Luofeng had left. She gritted her teeth and said, I will return the humiliation that he gave me today 1,000 times over. So what if the Bai family had Bai Su? She would not easily forgive these people who bullied her. Xiao Jing. Ling Yao climbed up from the ground with difficulty, her eyes dark. I do not want others to know that my clothes were stripped. If this matter reached Xiao Yuqing's ears, based on that man's nature, he would never marry her again. All right. Xiao Jing thought for a moment and nodded slightly. The marriage between the Xiao family and the Ling family was a must. If this matter were to spread, the Xiao family's reputation would be damaged. Therefore, he would hide the matter of Ling Yao being stripped naked. Let's go. Looking at the corpses on the ground, Xiao Jing's eyes darkened. He supported Ling Yao, the murderous intent in his eyes growing. By family, you dare to provoke the Xiao family. I will not let you have it easy. These few days, the situation on the continent was very unstable. As the three great families of Spirit Realm, the Xiao family and the Ling family, attacked the Flowing Gold Nations Bai family for some reason. Even the Bai family did not know what happened. But Bai Su was not at the Bai family during this time. Therefore, the Bai family could not resist the combined attack of the two families. Yet, the two great families of Spirit Realm seemed to be wary of something and did not kill the Bai family. They only taught the Bai family a small lesson. As the instigator of this incident, he acted as if nothing had happened. Every day, he would either tease Yun Xiao, spend his time cultivating, or face Xiao Mo's incessant chatter. At this moment, in the rear courtyard of the general's residence, a man was quietly staring at the young girl lying on the chaise lounge. A strange light flowed through his black eyes. Were you the one behind the Xiao family and the Bai family? That's right. Yun Luofeng's lips curled up slightly. My mother's death is related to the Bai family, and the Xiao family hurt you. That's why I started this battle. A warm feeling flowed through Yun Zhao's heart. He knew that Yun Luofeng was doing all this to help him take revenge. On that day, he had also seen the Xiao family members leaving the Long Yuan nation in a sorry state. Yun Xiao, I have something to ask you. Yun Luofeng's eyes were solemn as he stared fixedly at the man standing next to her. What is your relationship with the Ling families? Yun Xiao looked at Yun Luofeng suspiciously. What relationship do I have with the Ling family? This question was asked by Yun Luofeng. Now he was returning it to Yun Luofeng because he really did not know what relationship he had with the Ling family. Yun Luofeng's eyes were filled with evil. He leaned lazily on the chaise lounge and asked in a casual tone, I heard that. Ling Yao of the Ling family is your fiancé? Yun Xiao frowned, shook his head and said, I don't know her. I'm also not sure about this matter. Did Ling Yao tell you personally? Chapter 346. Yun Luofeng raised his lips slightly. Not only did she tell me that you were betrothed to her since you were young, she also said that you have a token of love between the two of you. Is that true? Yun Xiao thought about it and shook his head. I'm not sure. The token of love you're talking about is a jade pendant with the word Ling engraved on it. Yun Xiao fell silent, and his brows furrowed, as if he was thinking about something. However, no matter how hard he thought, he could not think of what the jade pendant looked like. I don't have a jade pendant that she's talking about. When he left the Xiao family, he had nothing, so where did he get the jade pendant? Hence, he really did not have the thing that Yun Luofeng was talking about. Yun Luofeng glanced at Yun Xiao. When you left, did your mother give you anything? No. Yun Zhao's reply was very decisive, his black eyes filled with sincerity and seriousness. Believe me, she and I definitely did not have the kind of relationship you're talking about. Yun Luofeng naturally believed Yun Zhao's words, but Ling Yao did not look like she was lying. Hence, there was only one possibility. Yun Zhao's mother did not give him the jade pendant. It's fine. Yun Luofeng crossed his thighs and moved his sore shoulders. His voice rang out lazily. Yun Xiao, come and help me massage my shoulders. Yun Xiao gently pursed his thin lips and silently walked to Yun Luofeng's side. His hand landed on the girl's shoulder. From behind, he could see through the girl's clothes and see her fair, jade-like skin. Yun Zhao's heartbeat suddenly sped up, but his eyes could not move away from the girl's body. He continued to stare at him in a daze. Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng saw that Yun Xiao did not move and turned to look at the man behind him. When she saw the man's invasive gaze, she slightly narrowed her eyes, and the smile on her lips revealed a dangerous aura. Do you want to see? Yes. Yun Xiao was an honest man. Not only did his body not lie, even his mouth would not lie. He wanted to see her, so he honestly told her what he was thinking. The smile on the girl's face deepened. She stood up from the chaise longue and took a few steps towards the man. Then, I'll strip naked for you to see. Okay? Boom. The girl's flirtatious words and seductive actions made the man's blood rush to his head, and an impulse instantly made his body react. Even though the two of them had been sharing the same bed these past few days, Yun Luofeng had never taken off her clothes in front of Yun Xiao. Even on the bed, she would still wear her underwear. It was no wonder that upon hearing her words, Yun Xiao's heart would be filled with a burning desire. Feeling the man's breathing quicken in an instant, Yun Luofeng couldn't help but laugh softly. Yun Xiao, I'm just teasing you. If you want me to strip for you to see, then you'll have to wait until we've dealt with the Xiao family's matter. A murderous intent rose in Yun Luofeng's heart once again as he thought about the humiliation that the Xiao family had inflicted on Yun Xiao. His black eyes carried a thick, cold light. Xiao family. What happened before was only the beginning. In the future, she would make the Xiao family live in eternal regret. A life worse than death. Yun Xiao stared at the young girl's peerlessly beautiful features, and a deep thought flashed across his grim black eyes. His eyes remained as deep as the dark night, making it impossible for anyone to understand what this man was thinking in his heart. The next day, the sky had just brightened. After Yun Luofeng had finished washing up, she pushed open the door to her room. Suddenly, a gray figure was reflected in her eyes. Chapter 347. Mistress, you're awake? Qin Yuan laughed awkwardly. About this, my master told me to wait for you here and leave you a message. For some reason, looking at Qin Yuan's expression, Yun Luofeng had a bad feeling. Where's Yun Xiao? She frowned and asked. Qin Yuan rubbed his hair. Master went to spirit realm. He wants to return to the Xiao family. Return to the Xiao family? Why? Yun Luofeng stilled and asked with a frown. Qin Yuan's expression grew even more awkward. Mistress, Master told me to tell you that he will destroy the Xiao family as soon as possible. Then, Mistress, do not forget to fulfill your promise. What promise? Mistress, you said that after the Xiao family is destroyed, I will strip naked for Master to see. When he said this, Qin Yuan's face flushed red. He could not understand why such a cold and murderous master would say such shameless words, especially when he went to a place like Spirit Realm to have Mistress strip naked. It seemed that Mistress was very important in Master's heart. This idiot. Yun Luofeng shook his head helplessly. He really believes whatever I say. He returned to the Xiao family just because of this. After the awkwardness, Qin Yuan seemed to remember, and a hint of anxiety appeared on his face. Mistress, there are some things Master does not want me to say, but I think I should let Mistress know. This time, Master may be in danger when he returns to the Xiao family. Yun Luofeng's heart suddenly sank. What happened? With Yun Zhao's strength, he cannot deal with the Xiao family? Mistress, Qin Yuan shook his head. My master is very powerful. But the patriarch of the Xiao family has something that will be dangerous to Master. Yun Luofeng's expression changed and his eyes darkened. Before I acted against the Xiao family, why did Yun Xiao not tell me about this? Qin Yuan grimaced. Mistress, you are too important in Master's heart. As long as you are happy, even if he puts himself in danger, he will not hesitate. This idiot. Hearing Qin Yuan's words, Yun Luofeng couldn't help but curse Yun Xiao in her mind. In her 2 lives, she had never seen anyone so stupid, but she was often touched by this idiot. Give me a map to Spirit Realm. Yun Luofeng took a deep breath and said, Ah? Qin Yuan stilled. Why are you going to Spirit Realm, Mistress? Of course it's to look for that idiot Yun Xiao. She was the one who caused this, so how could she leave that idiot behind? No matter how dangerous it was, she had to go to Spirit Realm. Qin Yuan's expression tensed up. He said embarrassedly, Mistress, this isn't very good, right? If Master knew that I told Mistress about this matter, he would definitely hack me into pieces. Yun Luofeng shot a sinister look at Qin Yuan and said in a strange tone, Do you choose to be hacked into pieces by him? Or do you want to be executed by me? Don't worry, my methods are definitely more painful than Yun Zhao's. If I don't let you bleed to the last drop of your blood, I won't let you die so easily." Qin Yuan's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with terror. He regretted it. He regretted telling Mistress about this matter. If Master knew, he would definitely not let him go easily. But in the end, Qin Yuan still gritted his teeth. "Mistress, please wait a moment. I will go prepare the route to Spirit Realm for you now." Chapter 348. In any case, if Master became angry with Mistress by his side, he would definitely be able to escape death. If he did not give the map to Mistress now, he might really die from suffering. When he thought of this, Qin Yuan's heart gradually calmed. He did not hesitate any longer and hurriedly went to find the map for Yun Luofeng. Qin Yuan knew very well that here, Master's words did not count. Mistress's words were the imperial edict. Even Master had to carry them out. Therefore, if he could please Mistress, would he be afraid that Master would punish him in the future? The more Qin Yuan thought, the more pleased he became. His efficiency increased. Soon, he found the map and handed it to Yun Luofeng. "Mistress, this is the map to Spirit Realm. I promised Zhu Zi to protect Mistress, so I will travel with Mistress this time." Qin Yuan fawned like a dog. If he had a tail, he would be wagging it happily. "No need." Yun Luofeng put away the map. "Stay here and protect the Yun family. I will go to Spirit Realm alone." "But," Qin Yuan frowned, "there are many experts in Spirit Realm. I fear that Mistress cannot handle them." Yun Luofeng glanced coldly at Qin Yuan. "You want to disobey my orders? Fine. When Yun Xiao returns, I will say that you are incompetent and have him punish you." Qin Yuan's expression immediately became bitter. He said pitifully, "Mistress, if I let you go to Spirit Realm alone, this subordinate will not be at ease. If something happens to you, Master will not forgive me. Do not worry, with me here, he will not punish you. But if you do not listen to my orders, I can make you wish you were dead." The young girl's voice was as calm as water, but caused Qin Yuan's heart to tighten. "Mistress, even if you want to punish this subordinate now, this subordinate will still follow you." Qin Yuan grimaced. "This subordinate has promised Master to ensure Mistress's safety." Whoosh! Suddenly, a silver needle flew over from the front and pierced into Qin Yuan's body. In an instant, he was unable to move as if he had been paralyzed. He could only look at Yun Luofeng anxiously. "Mistress, you can't go to Spirit Realm alone." Yun Luofeng looked at Qin Yuan. "After 2 hours, the silver needles on your body will naturally fall off. At that time, you will be able to move freely. During this period of time, I can only trouble you." "Mistress!" Qin Yuan's expression grew increasingly anxious. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have told the mistress about this. "Qin Yuan, I don't know how long I'll be away from Spirit Realm this time. I'm worried about the Yun family, and I can only be at ease if you're here. Also, Si Qiong still needs you to watch over him. Without you, there's no guarantee that he won't cause a great storm." Qin Yuan wanted to use his spiritual power to force the silver needles out of his body. Unfortunately, his spiritual power seemed to be imprisoned and could not be moved. This time, he had indeed been careless, because he had never expected Yun Luofeng to suddenly attack. "Please." Yun Luofeng looked seriously at the anxious Qin Yuan, who was sweating profusely. "The Yun family, as well as my grandfather and second uncle, please take care of them. When Yun Xiao and I return, I will plead on your behalf." Qin Yuan's body shook. He knew that no matter what he said, Yun Luofeng would not let him go. A bitter smile appeared on his face. "Mistress, since you have already made up your mind, what else can this subordinate say? If you really want to find Master, then go. I will protect the Yun family for you." That was why the Xiao family would think of Yun Xiao, who had already left. Back then, Yun Xiao's bloodline power test had shown that his bloodline was very strong. Originally, the Xiao family had placed high hopes on him, but who knew that later on, they slowly discovered that this fellow was just a good-for-nothing. Even Xiao Lin, who was the head of the Xiao family, did not understand why Yun Xiao, who had such a profound bloodline power, would be a piece of trash. Furthermore, no one in the entire Xiao family had inherited a bloodline that was deeper than his. The second thing, old man Xiao paused, then said, "You and Ling Yao should call off the engagement. She and Xiao Yuqing are in love with each other. Even if you insist on marrying Ling Yao, she won't agree. Why make things even more awkward? Based on your talent, you have no right to replace the Xiao family in the marriage alliance with the Ling family." Chapter 350. Xiao Lin had always thought that with such an outstanding young lady like Ling Yao and the identity of the Ling family's little princess, this good-for-nothing would never be willing to break off the engagement with her. But he never thought that Yun Xiao was no longer the good-for-nothing. Even if he was still the good-for-nothing, he still wouldn't like Ling Yao. He only cared about Yun Luofeng. All right. Yun Xiao, who had been silent all this while, slowly opened his mouth after hearing this. His voice was as cold as ever. Hearing the man's words, everyone present heaved a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that Yun Xiao wouldn't let go after finding out about his engagement with Ling Yao. Luckily, this good-for-nothing still knew his place. He knew that he wasn't worthy of the Ling family's little princess. Since that's the case, then hand over the token of your engagement. Xiao Lin similarly heaved a sigh of relief. His tone wasn't as strict as before. Yun Xiao furrowed his brows. "I don't have the token." His words caused everyone's expression to change drastically. The middle-aged man sitting in the lower seat immediately stood up and said with a livid face, "You're talking nonsense. Your damn mother must have handed the token to you. Hand it over immediately. Don't think that I don't know that you just don't want to break off the engagement with Ling Yao. But you've forgotten, how could the Ling family's daughter like a good-for-nothing like you?" From his point of view, if Yun Xiao didn't hand over the token, it meant that he wasn't willing to break off the engagement. Hearing the middle-aged man's angry voice, Yun Xiao's gaze turned towards him coldly. This man was his father in name, but in his heart, he wasn't his son. Instead, he was his irreconcilable enemy. And if it wasn't for the sake of retrieving that token, the entire Xiao family would no longer exist. "I will break off the engagement." Yun Xiao paused. Furthermore, she and I aren't engaged. The only person he wanted to marry was Yun Luofeng. In his eyes, other women were no different from a pile of bones. "If you want to break off the engagement, then hand over the token," the middle-aged man said coldly. His eyes were clearly filled with disgust and ridicule. "You haven't even handed over the token. Who knows if you really want to break off the engagement, or if you're just saying it casually." Seeing her husband's furious expression, the beautiful woman hurriedly soothed the anger in his chest. Her gorgeous face was filled with disdain. "Husband, this boy is a good-for-nothing. To be able to be betrothed to the Ling family's little princess is a blessing that he has cultivated for 8 lifetimes. A person like him would definitely not let go of such a good opportunity. Unfortunately, the Ling family's little princess likes my Yuqing. This good-for-nothing has no chance at all. He was just a piece of trash." Did he think that just because the Xiao clan brought him back, it meant that they had acknowledged his identity? If not for his own son, the Xiao family would not have allowed him to take another step. Her son was still more outstanding. Not only was she called the #1 genius of Spirit Realm, she was also the center of attention and the target of all the women in the world, unlike this trash who only received mockery and mockery. As soon as the beautiful woman finished speaking, Yun Zhao's cold eyes swept over her. This gaze made her feel as if she had fallen into hell, and her entire body was ice cold. "No! Impossible!" The beautiful woman bit her lips, and her delicate body trembled. How could this trash have such a terrifying gaze? It was as if he was going to strangle her to death. Even her heart tightened. What happened?" The middle-aged man did not know what had happened. He hugged the beautiful woman's trembling body tightly and asked in concern, "You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.